Hello, hi, welcome back everybody to the cooking show, to the cooking stream. If you're watching this live, it is currently Friday, September 13th, 5 p.m. EDT, and I see that we have all of my lovely sous chefs. Hello to Turina, hello to Daski, hello to Shai Chika, hello to Askia, hello to School of Rock and Roll, hello to Chow Yard. Welcome on in. It is lovely to have each and every single one of you. Welcome on in. I'm really excited about today's show. There's going to be a lot for us to talk about. There's going to be a lot of different concepts. As a little bit of a heads up, I am currently running on 3 hours of sleep. I woke up at 7 a.m., God forbid. I woke up at 7 a.m. to talk about some Brawlhalla. Because I was on the mainstream to talk, top 8 Southeast Asia for Brawlhalla, if any of you tuned in for that. So I am personally a little tiny bit exhausted, but I'm really excited about today, and there's going to be a lot for us to talk about. So welcome on in. Everybody, we're going to be doing 3 different dishes today. Well, technically 3, maybe like 2.5. The first of which is going to be some Sichuan glass noodles. The next thing that we're going to be doing is a really, really simple braised bok choy and some homemade stock. And then we'll be making that homemade stock. We'll be making what is called a superior stock. It's often used in a lot of Chinese cooking. This is a bit of a modification on a traditional Chinese superior stock. I am using some of my own ingredients that I already had at home. And we'll talk about the use of it, and we'll talk about even what superior stock is. And so this braised bok choy, as well as these glass noodles, they're gonna get served, of course, with a little white steamed rice, my friends. So we're doing a lot of really cool adaptations today, and specifically with the superior stock. Traditionally, in Chinese cooking, superior stock is a stock made out of pork bones, chicken bones, as well as some ham, and a couple of other aromatics today. I did not have ham, and I did not have pork bones, but I have something that's honestly really similar to the two, which is I have some smoked pork bones, my friends. Remember when we did the collard greens and we used some smoked pork bones? I felt like this would be an amazing way to sort of adapt the Chinese superior stock into my own home setting. Using a couple of these is going to give us some of that smokiness, some of that saltiness, some of that cured flavor that you associate from both the ham and the pork trotters that would go into superior stock like this today. So I have some smoked pork bones, my friends, and that was one of my inspirations for today. Okay, so the next thing, let's talk about some of my greens. I had 3 heads of baby bok choy, and that's what I wanted to go ahead and use up today before it went bad. This is something that I really want to talk about. This also pertains to Korean cooking as well as to Chinese cooking. There is the idea that I feel like a lot of the way that people go out for Chinese food, they sort of assume that it's all going to be like super saucy, super stewy, a bunch of meat and a bunch of rice, and that's not necessarily true. What you're going to see oftentimes on any plate is going to be some sort of a green vegetable dish, which is really simple. It's meant to be minimalistic, and it's just meant to be a nice, refreshing green bite. It's not supposed to be super flavorful. It's not supposed to be super technical. And in my case today, my friends, we're just going to be quickly poaching some bok choy inside of the superior stock that we'll make, and then we'll serve it up with some onions and some garlic as well. Okay, this is just meant to be something light. It's just supposed to be a nice way to eat some greens. This specifically would be a traditional way of using amaranth. I don't have amaranth, instead I had some baby bok choy, and so we'll just cook it down and get it nice and delicious. So everybody, I have some baby bok choy. Next, I have some red onions that I wanted to save, which will find their way into the baby bok choy. I also have some ginger. This is going to go both into the glass noodles as well as into the superior stock that we're making. And then everybody, we have some garlic, which is going to get fried up and added and served alongside the lovely bok choy today. So I'll go ahead and set that down behind me. Next up, everybody, it can't be a chicken stock, right? A superior stock is still a chicken-based stock without a chicken. I'm gonna be using a whole chicken today. Why do I always encourage the use of a whole chicken, my friends? Because first of all, this chicken that I bought, it was on sale. This is a massive chicken. I don't know if you can tell. It is huge. I got it on sale. I got it for $10. The magic of buying whole chickens, my friends, is that you get all of these amazing bones, you get all of this amazing byproduct with which you get to go ahead and make your own homemade chicken stocks. Homemade chicken stocks are delicious, they're really economical, and it's a very nice way of being able to use up leftover bones and scraps, my friends. So one big, beautiful whole chicken. I'm gonna teach you and I'll show you how you don't have to be intimidated, and I would love to hear a yes, chef, please and thank you. You don't need to be intimidated with a whole chicken. I will teach you how to break it down. I will teach you how to butcher it yourself. Why does that chicken look like it's 30 and ready to settle down? Well, if that was the case, Sma, then I would have gone to know the chicken a little bit more before I decided to butcher it. I will show you how accessible and easy and rewarding it is to butcher your own meat at home. You're gonna save a little bit of money, and we're gonna get all of these amazing byproducts in the form of the bones. Okay, let's set that aside behind us. Next, everybody, we're looking for ways to flavor our stock. So we're doing a combination of a few, not too many, we're doing a few dried anchovies, and then also a little bit of kelp, right? This would add in a little bit more of a savory quality. It would make the stock a little bit meatier. This is not a fish stock, so it's only gonna take a few of these dried anchovies, and it's only gonna take a few of this dried kelp, okay? It's really gonna be about the chicken. I don't want my smoked pork bones to take over it too much, so just a little bit of the smoked pork bones too. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set that down behind me. Next, everybody, let's talk about the glass noodles. I love glass noodles. I love them more than rice noodles, especially in a home setting. The reason why I love glass noodles, which are often made from different kinds of starches, in this case, this is a mung bean starch one. Sometimes you'll see a sweet potato starch glass noodle in Korean cooking. The reason why I love glass noodles is because they're so easy, they're so accessible, and they're also super, super, super delicious, my friends. I love how slippery they are. I love the texture of glass noodles. I find them to be incredibly delicious. And people oftentimes pigeonhole themselves into just salads with them. This is going to be nice and warm. This is going to be nice and delicious. I love glass noodles. This was sold as bean threads. You'll see them as bean threads. You'll see them as sweet potato noodles. You'll see them as mung bean noodles. Those would all be the different names for them. So we have some glass noodles. Then everybody, to go alongside the glass noodles, we have some light soy sauce and dark soy sauce. Anytime that we do Chinese cooking, you oftentimes see a mix of these two. Dark soy sauce is added for the color and more of its deeper, more caramelly notes. And light soy sauce is a little bit more, you know, it's less intense. It's not as fermented as long. And so they're very different products, the combination of which will yield a very nice, delicious sauce for these glass noodles. Okay, then everybody, my secret ingredient for these Sichuan glass noodles is going to be the use of a little bit of bacon. Traditionally, you would just use some ground pork. Now, ground pork in this would of course be really delicious, but guess what? I had some leftover bacon, and it was my idea, instead of using more oil, okay, instead of going out of my way to go buy ground pork, let's grind up the bacon. I have a food processor. We're gonna be trying to grind meat in it for the first time. I'll teach you and show you how to do that. I've never ground meat in this food processor before, and I wanted to go ahead and use up this bacon. Everybody, we're modifying these dishes to make them more adaptable in the home setting. I'm using the ingredients that I already had. Also, Dang Trash King, thank you so much for the sub, I really appreciate it. We're using the ingredients that I already had at home. Sure, this might be not the most authentic Sichuan glass noodles. Also, I believe the way that, you know, if you wanted to find the exact name of this dish, it'd be called ants climbing up a tree, right? Something like that. Not the most traditional, but it's gonna be really nice and delicious. So I'm gonna keep this in my fridge so that it stays nice and cold. And last but not least, my friends, we'll of course be making a nice big bunch of rice to go alongside it. So, really simple stuff that we're doing today. We're going to begin with breaking down the chicken. We're gonna be poaching the bones. We're gonna be poaching the smoked pork bones alongside the chicken bones. I'll show you how to butcher it. We'll make the stock, we'll make the rice, we'll wash all of our vegetables. And so that begs the question, is everybody ready for today? I want to hear one more resounding yes, chef, please, and thank you. Before we begin today, everybody, 2 bits of housekeeping. First and foremost, if at any point you have any questions, you can type an exclamation mark menu for the full list of the ingredients. Additionally, ask me. It can be about this dish, and it can be about anything else food-related that you would like. My goal is to teach you guys how fun and exciting and delicious and efficient and economical cooking at home can be. Okay, so that's first of all. And then second of all, if you'd like to directly financially support the cooking show, everybody, exclamation mark Patreon. All the money from there goes directly back into the stream. It goes to the cost of groceries, because groceries are expensive. And so if you would like to support the show, exclamation mark Patreon is the best way to go ahead and do so. Everybody, we're going to begin with breaking down a whole chicken. I'm going to tie up my hair, and we're going to get this bad boy going. But first, actually, just so that I don't keep my frozen pork bones just kind of sitting out and doing nothing in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and take a few of them and add them into my pot. The first thing that we're going to be doing, my friends, with all of my chicken bones, with all of my pork bones, is we're going to be blanching them. So, what is blanching? All that blanching really means is that you are submerging something in boiling water. In my case today, we're going to be boiling the chicken and we're going to be boiling the pork bones. Now, some of you may ask me, hey Dara, why are we doing that? Why are we taking these bones and boiling them and then straining them off before we make the stock? Aren't we losing flavor? The answer is the following. We lose what is called the scum. a lot of proteins come out of the meat as it cooks that can make a broth really, really cloudy. Normally, I wouldn't care about that too much, but anytime that you're working, especially with beef bones and pork bones, they tend to release a lot of scum. That scum can dissolve back into the broth, okay? It can help make the broth just modify in its texture. It doesn't give it as clean of a mouthfeel, and it's also not as aesthetically pleasing. Do you absolutely have to do this step? No, but you will achieve a much more refined product, my friends. You will get a much more refined product. It's gonna be a lot cleaner tasting, so to speak. Okay, it's gonna be a lot silkier, it's gonna be a lot smoother. And when I have such minimalistic ingredients, right? This Sichuan glass noodles is super simple. This bok choy is super simple. When I'm doing such simple food, I wanna make sure that I'm giving all of my components a lot of love. Okay, what's the upper limit, Serena? The answer is you would want to never boil it past 15-20 minutes. I feel like past 15-20 minutes, that is when you do start getting some amount of gelatin development. The goal is to take the collagen, turn it into gelatin. In that 10 to 20 minutes of cooking though, we're not going to significantly cook it down. We're not going to significantly lose it in a high amount of collagen or anything. We just want to go ahead and get rid of some of that scum. So everybody, I'm all gloved up. I have my hair nice and tied, and now let me show you how easy it can be to break down a whole chicken. Again, this is something that I would love for everybody to get into the habit of doing in a home setting. It is accessible. Anybody can do this, quite frankly. Okay, so just getting one thing out of the way really quickly, everybody. My apologies. And we can go ahead and begin. So, one beautiful whole chicken. Oh, hello, that's the wrong camera. One beautiful whole chicken, and something that you guys might already notice is the following. I took my chicken and I put it onto a sheet tray overnight in the fridge. Chickens, grocery store chickens, vacuum packed in a bag, you will notice how wet they are. They are wet and they're unpleasant to work with. They will splash all over your kitchen, they're going to make a mess, and your knife is going to slide off of it. Instead of wasting a bunch of paper towels all the time, and in my case I could have probably honestly used a few of them because I didn't just take out the organ bag, right? The best thing that you can do, my friends, just let it air dry, let it air chill in the fridge overnight or as soon as you buy it. It will become so much more pleasant and so much more easy to work with. How many times have you decided to do a roasted whole chicken and you buy this bagged chicken from the supermarket and you open it up and it is sopping wet? It is wet all over your sheet tray, it splashes when you put it onto the pan, everybody. Don't mess with that. When you buy it, put it onto a sheet tray, preferably with a wire rack, although not essential. Let it dry out naturally. And that way, my friends, okay, as long as you don't over dry it past a few days, it will become so much easier to work with. I recommend this anytime that you buy any kind of meat. Okay, so let's go ahead and take my lovely chicken. I'm going to go ahead and set this bad boy down onto my cutting board, and I'm going to show you how to break this down. So I'm going to take a nice petty knife. You want to use anything slender, anything long. And we're going to begin with taking off the wings, my friends. This chicken is huge. This is one of the biggest chickens I've ever seen. These breasts are massive. Jesus Christ. Okay, a little bit intimidating. We'll get started. So we're going to go ahead and flip this over. So it's the backbone that's facing us. And everybody, for the wings, really simple, really, really easy. We're going to just simply separate this like you would a shoulder. You never want to cut through bone. We make an incision where the shoulder of the wing meets the rest of the chicken. We're going to go in there and we're basically going to see where it meets the joint, and we're going to slice through that joint, everybody. This is a really big chicken, so it's going to be a little bit tricky, but I found the joint successfully. Go in there and nice and easy. There you go. Beautiful. We're just going in between the joints, my friends. We're never cutting through bone for something like this, okay? So go in there, and the wings will be one of the bones that we use for today. The wings I never really find myself cooking with, and the wings have a lot of bones, they have a lot of collagen in them, and so they lend themselves exceptionally well for something like chicken stocks. Although, if you wanted to, my friends, you could also save chicken wings. I just never find myself having enough to do something with them. So, 2 chicken wings off, nice and easy, okay? The next step, my friends, is we're gonna go ahead and get these legs off. For the legs, really, really simple, really easy. This is the second easiest part. The easiest was the wings. We're going to make an incision as close to the leg skin as possible. Not close to the breast skin so it doesn't flap up. So watch this. Make a little incision, my friends. Make a little incision and go all the way around. Okay, what you want to really do is just make sure that the breast skin is preserved and is as intact as it can be. Okay, because sometimes you're going to want your chicken breast with skin on later. Sometimes you don't. You just don't know until you know. Okay, so there you go. That's one little incision, my friends. And now that we've separated the skin, you can see that the leg is all exposed. Simply take it, flip it over, and pop it out of the socket. Pop it out of the socket, dislocate it really quickly. Sorry to get so grotesque with the details, but that is literally what we're doing here. Pop it out of the socket, and then off goes my lovely, beautiful, genuinely massive chicken leg, my friends. Always in between the joints, and we never, ever, ever go through the bone. Look at that leg. Look at the size of this leg. That is a huge chicken leg. It is enough to get Europeans to be a little bit upset about it. That's right, Total Go Me. I'm gonna get these chicken wings, by the way, into the pot alongside my pork bones really quickly. And we're gonna go ahead and repeat the same thing with the other leg. Nice and simple. Make an incision as close to the leg skin as possible, as far away from the breast skin as possible. So do that before you pop the socket, right? Because again, we want to keep as much of that skin near the breast as possible. Go all the way around, split that skin, my friends, split that skin, and now that that skin has been successfully split, you can go ahead and dislocate the leg, dislocate it, and off goes my beautiful, juicy chicken leg, my friends. Okay? So there it is. Last but not least, this is going to be the most challenging part. This is going to be the trickiest part. Everybody, if you're new to breaking down whole chickens, you will struggle with this. But that's okay, because all of it is still going to get used for the stock. It's okay to mess up a little bit. The only thing that we will throw away, we have these little pockets of fat that were near the thighs. We don't want this because it'll make my stock a little too oily today. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop these bad boys out really nice and quickly. Get those pockets of fat out of here. Okay, everybody. Let's understand the anatomy of the breast. We have a bone running right down the middle, two sides of the breast. Here's how we do this. We're going to be using your hands for this, so I really highly recommend using gloves. We're going to go in here, and we're going to make an incision. We don't go all the way down, but we just make an incision on either side, okay, of the bone. We make a little incision, then we go in, and then we make an L-shaped cut all the way, penetrate that skin, my friends, go all the way through it. Now, we go in there with our thumb. And that's right, you will get annoyed by it if you're not new to it as well. This is, in my mind, the least enjoyable part, but that's okay. Everybody, the magic of this method, the magic of this step, come take a look at what's happening. We are literally peeling the meat away from the bone. Therein lies the magic of this step. We are saving as much of it as possible. All I'm doing is I'm taking my thumb and I'm just ripping off the fibers off of the bone. It wants to come out. It wants to come out, and all that we're doing, everybody, is that we're facilitating that process. We're letting it come out. We're letting it pop out. We're letting it come out of its shell. Okay? And now that it's come out a little bit, we can go ahead and take this breast. It seems the tender wanted to detach today, and that's okay. The tender lies under the breast. That happens. Okay? We're just going to go ahead and take it and peel off this hulking, massive, truthfully, huge piece of chicken. Maybe the biggest that I've seen in at least a while. Can't wait to immediately mess this up. Shy Chica, I promise you, go slowly and your mess ups will not be significant. This chicken breast is huge. I miss her so much. Okay, wonderful. Let's go ahead and do the second one. Right, same exact idea. It's gonna get a little wobbly at the stage. Make an incision all the way, make an incision, and then make an L-shaped cut all the way through, my friends. Make an L-shaped cut, and away your tender should successfully peel right from the bone, right from the carcass. Right? Off it all goes, off it goes, off it goes, off it goes, just like so. Off it goes, perfect. That's actually looking quite good at the moment, I have to say. Okay, excellent. And now everybody that we are at this stage once again, all we have to do, we can just peel that breast off. We can just peel it off peel it off, and congratulations everybody. Guess what we have achieved? A complete, perfect chicken carcass that is devoid of as much bone as possible. The last thing that we're going to do is we're just going to split this up into slightly smaller pieces so that it can easily fit inside of my pot. Okay, so off goes that chunk. Right? And unfortunately, this piece might be so big that I have no idea what to do with it, truthfully. I'm going to get rid of this pocket of fat here as well. Some of the skin is okay to keep, but let's get rid of that. Okay. And now that we're at this stage, guys, this is why you would sometimes want to have a cleaver. If you ever like encountered with this dilemma specifically, and you're like, oh, I don't really know how to separate it, well, a cleaver comes into play and is able to make short, efficient work of something like this. I never saw a cleaner carcass, never thought I would give you that compliment, but you really did that, Chef. Thank you, School of Rock and Roll. I've been doing this a lot. I've broken down a lot of chickens. Only thing right now is I'm thinking, where else can I separate this so that I could hopefully get this into a slightly smaller piece? And it seems like I'll be able to successfully detach the neck. And I would hopefully like to at least be able to split this bad boy in half. So I'm just trying to use my hands. I know it's a little bit gross. I'm just trying to really get it through here. This is only because my chicken is so massive that it doesn't properly fit inside of my pot. So that's why I'm going in and doing such a barbaric motion of literally ripping it bone to bone in my hands right now. Be careful of the bone fragments so that they don't penetrate like your hands or something. Okay? I think that's going to do just fine. That's going to make my life a lot easier when it actually comes to fitting everything inside of the pot. Okay, perfect. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and get all of my bones inside of the pot, my friends. And we got to get the stock going ASAP. Bones inside. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get the hottest possible water from my tap. My tap takes a couple of seconds to go ahead and heat on up, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that going. I'm going to take all of my chicken pieces, my friends. We have no use for any of this meat today. I'm going to go ahead and put it into the fridge, and then later on, I'm going to be putting it into the freezer. But right now, this chicken, it has no place in my kitchen whatsoever. I'm getting some nice hot water out of my tap. The hottest possible water that I physically can, everybody. You want to blanch these bones. You want to blanch these bones, you want to blanch this carcass, and the reason why you want to blanch it is so that we can get rid of all of the scum, all of the stuff that we could potentially make our stock a little bit cloudy with. That's not what I'm looking for. I want the nice, clean, delicious, refined stock, my friends. Okay, so water is heating up right now from the tap. And then we'll boil it, and we'll boil it for about 10 minutes or so, strain it, clean it, and get the rest of the aromatics ready. Is everybody following so far? Does everybody understand why we're doing the steps that we're doing today? If not, once again, ask now or ask later. I was about to say forever hold your peace, but that's not even true. You can ask me at any point in time, everybody. So, I'm gonna go ahead and fill that up with some nice hot water from my tap. Whoop, hello, thank you. And you just want to make sure that all of your bones are mostly covered. Mostly covered, mostly together. Okay? Nice and simple, nice and easy. Everybody, take it and boil it. Take it and boiling it. So, I love eating chicken, but I'm so afraid of handling it. So, WTF happened to tricks, welcome on in. If it's not too personal, it doesn't put you on the spot too much, I would like to ask you, what makes you specifically uncomfortable with handling it? One of my goals is to get people to be a lot more comfortable handling, there's a lot of weird textures going on in the kitchen. There's a lot of complexities to it sometimes. My goal is to get everybody acclimated and comfortable to the home kitchen setting. And so, I'm curious about where this actually stems for you. Where does this come from for you? I would like to know. I would love to know, in fact. Okay, so the only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take some tongs and just rearrange my pot a little tiny bit to make sure that everything is as submerged as it can reasonably be. So everybody, all that we have in here so far, we have my smoked pork bones and we have my chicken carcass. We're gonna take it, bring it up to a boil, ideally with a lid, so that we can go ahead and get it done as fast as possible. I only have this lid available to me. I don't actually have a fitting lid for this pan, which is a problem at some point. But right now, I think that's going to do just fine. Okay, the germs, multi-resistant bacteria, and I'm not putting wooden cutting boards into the dishwasher at high temperatures. So tricks, really good point that you've brought up here. Let's talk about food safety a little bit, and let's talk about maybe some of the misconceptions with the dangers of a cutting board. So a lot of people get this idea, they get this impression that wooden cutting boards cannot be used to handle meat. That is not entirely incorrect, but that's also not entirely true. What you need to understand is the following. Wood is porous, meaning things are not going to soak into it immediately, but if you leave it dirty for extended amounts of time, it will warp, it will absorb smells, it will do all of these different things. The solution to that already, what happened to tricks, let me tell you right now, is to wash it. That is the solution. The solution is to wash it immediately with some nice soap and water, and I promise you that you will not have any sorts of problems regarding, your cutting board and bacteria. That's it. That's how simple it is. But you leave this to sit. You leave this to sit, and then you will have problems that go beyond that, which are also the taste and the smells that get associated with your cutting board. Everybody, this is a home cooking show. And you know what's part of home cooking? Cleaning. We have to clean, so let's go ahead and clean up this cutting board now, and then we'll be all set to do the rest of the prep on it. So what happened to tricks? That's gonna be my piece of advice for you. Everybody, please watch my pot in the meantime, and I'm gonna go ahead and take care of this stuff. Chef, how often do you get your knife sharpened? My carbon steel at this point, every 4 to 5 months. My stainless steel one every 3 months, I get sharpened. That is how good my steel is, by the way, that it feels like it lasts a really, really, really long time. So, I'm gonna go ahead and quickly wash off my equipment, my friends. Again, in the interest of just staying clean and sanitary and cleaning as we go, that is the most important concept that I could give to anybody here. Cleaning as you go, my friends. Do not sleep on it at all. So, right now, while I'm washing the dishes, by the way, this would be an amazing time to ask me any and all questions that you may have, because I'm gonna have my back turned to all of you. Coating a wooden board with wood-safe stains can also help the wood degrade from heat and water. Yeah, that's correct. Having a good stain on there, it'll just make it a little bit more resistant as well. I don't really mind cutting board stains. The only thing I really care about is to make sure my cutting board doesn't absorb smells, and I really want to make sure it doesn't warp over time. And the way that you would prevent that from happening, my friends, again and again and again, it's always going to come back to cleaning it and drying it off immediately. Cleaning it and drying it off immediately will always be the key. It will always be the solution, okay? So I'm gonna have my tongs chilling out over there for a little bit. Get some soap, get some nice hot boiling water, my friends. And again, as long as it doesn't soak, you can absolutely still clean your cutting board with hot water. You just don't wanna put it in a dishwasher where it really soaks in. Chef, have you ever done or will you do a recipe with salmon? Asks Cadence. So that's a really good question. And let's talk about some of my challenges with working with salmon or working with fish. Remember how I talk about how shrimp is, you always have to buy it frozen. You'll never really be able to buy good quality fresh shrimp because it's already been thawed. Well, a similar concept applies to salmon. Everybody, buying good quality, locally caught seafood is really, really expensive. The only way that I would be able to do salmon is by buying frozen salmon steaks or something, which I am not opposed to doing at all. I just don't really find myself craving salmon all that often. And oftentimes the commercial salmon that you buy, it's not as fatty, it's not as rich as I would like it to be. It's just not the best salmon in the world, at least like the store-bought frozen kind. And so as a result, salmon is something that I would go out for, specifically in a seafood place, but I don't really like to cook with salmon at home as a result, simply because the quality of it's not amazing. It's not the cheapest protein source at all, even when it's frozen. And there's nothing, that I really miss about it like that. So that's why for me in my home kitchen, it's not what I would consider to be ideal home cooking. Now, depending on where you are in the world, salmon may be more accessible to you. Better quality salmon may be more accessible to you. All of those things are absolute possibilities. Okay, everybody, my cutting board, nice and heavily washed, nice and sanitized, right? Hot soapy water, and the most important thing is just making sure that it doesn't soak in the soapy water. Make sure it doesn't soak, make sure it doesn't soak in the chicken juices, and then you won't have, just double checking my towel is clean, and it is, then you won't have any issues at all, my friends, okay? So, when your cutting board comes off and it's wet, what do? We wipe it down. Don't let it absorb. Remember, wood is porous. It's not going to absorb it immediately. It's not going to turn wet immediately in the blink of an eye. But you don't want it to completely absorb into the wood itself. Just wipe off almost all of the excess water, and then you will be okay, my friends. You'll be okay, and you'll be perfect, and you'll be all set and all ready to go. And that's just good wood maintenance. So this idea of, oh, you can't keep wood wet, you can't leave it soaking wet. Okay, is really what I'm trying to get to, more than anything here. Okay, everybody, that's done. That's all taken care of. My knife is also all ready to go for today. Just in case, I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands one last time, because we were handling raw chicken, of course. I wanna make sure that I'm staying extra safe, extra careful. Okay, and so, everybody, if you're all following along so far, once again, I would love to hear another resounding yes, chef, please. And thank you from everybody watching. We're going to begin the rest of the prep that is needed for my lovely stock today. So this is not a plain chicken stock. This one's gonna be full of flavor. This one's gonna be a little smoky. It's gonna have a little bit of that cured flavor as well from the pork bones. This is inspired by a traditional Chinese superior stock, okay? And so we need to go ahead and have some aromatics to be able to match that. We're going to begin with my scallions. So, a very nice way of using up some scallion whites, and specifically the scallion bottoms, right? First of all, thoroughly washed. We got all of the sand out of the root part of the scallion, my friends. I heavily soak these, I heavily wash these. A lot of people, they don't wash their scallions enough, and all they do is they just run it under some water, and that is not going to be enough, especially for something like this. So, guess what? We need some allium flavor inside of my final stock, okay? That allium flavor is essential because think about it. We have chicken, we have pork bones, we have anchovies, and we have kelp. There is so much meaty flavor going on. You need something to be able to cut through it, and in my mind, there's no such thing as a stock without an allium. You can do leeks, you can do onions, you can do scallions, you can do whatever your heart desires, but in my case today, my friends, I'm gonna be leaving some of the white of the scallion, okay, on intentionally, because I want to get as much of that allium flavor as possible. I wash this thoroughly to get rid of any and all sand that could be potentially on it. And now I'm just cutting off the white part of those scallions, and all of these bad boys are going to go ahead and get added to my lovely stock today. So I'm going to go ahead and set that down behind me, and we'll continue on with the rest of my stock prep, my friends. So at this stage, is this boiling? It's not boiling quite yet, but it's about to get there. We're going to vigorously boil all of my bones. You're going to see how much scum comes up to the surface, and then we're going to wash it off and clean it before it goes into the final pressure cooker pot. Okay? Again, we do that for mouthfeel, for aesthetic purposes as well. Next, everybody, we have some ginger. You don't have to peel this ginger if you wash it, and so that's exactly what I'm going to go ahead and do for today. I'm going to grab a small little chunk of ginger, something about yay big. Too much ginger, and then it does become quite unpleasant. Okay, so lightly flavored with ginger, especially because we're gonna have more ginger in the Sichuan noodles themselves. So I'm gonna quickly wash it off so that we don't have to peel the skin. And then we'll cut this bad boy up into a couple of little slices. As we wait for all of my bones to boil. You need your bones boiled? Cadence, I don't know what that's actually gonna do for you. Not gonna lie, I don't know if that'll be particularly helpful. I don't know what you're seeking to achieve with getting your bones boiled. But yeah, I love superior stock. I also have a very vivid food memory with this. I remember in middle school, I had a friend that brought in, you know, I feel like, especially if you come from different cultures, this is like an often thing that was like discussed, like how much like bullying and torment that you would get for the things that you would bring in. I brought in like Russian food, and even then that got me like a lot of shit like growing up in like the school cafeterias. But I remember there was this one kid, and he brought in a soup that I very vividly remember was made with superior stock, and it had like chunks of ham and like some pasta in it. I do think it was there's like a couple of like Hong Kong cafe dishes that it now reminds me of, and I remember how good it smelled, and I remember how I asked him for a taste of his lunch. And that is a habit that I've never outgrown. If anybody has ever met me, you know how much I steal food from other people. And he said no. But it had wontons and it had chunks of ham and it had also you know, some noodles in it. And it smelled so delicious. Okay? So this is for you. I never got it back then, so I'm doing it now. Traditionally, superior stock would be used in something like a wonton soup, right? That's where you get a lot of the smokiness from it. Okay, I'm just gonna cut off the dried off weird little ends on this ginger here. Just clean that up slightly, okay? And then everybody, I'm gonna take this chunk of ginger and I'm just gonna go ahead and slice it up into nice little rounds. Just like so, and it's going to go ahead and infuse. Red shirt, welcome on in. It is amazing to have you. I hope you're having an amazing day today. So, ginger, scallions, what else are we going to need? Everybody, we're going to go ahead and get a small little piece of kelp. Now, the way that we're integrating this kelp is not very traditional, especially if you think about how kelp is used in Japanese cooking and Korean cooking. You oftentimes only cook it for 5 to 10 minutes and then take it out because it can get a little gloopy and it can get a little bitter. We're going to add such a small chunk of kelp that I don't care if that happens, okay? So, small little chunk of kelp. Some people brush it off, they dust it off. I don't think it's actually all that important, but we can do that if it makes somebody feel better. Okay, small little piece of kelp because we already have so much umami coming in from other places. Okay, we're gonna have the anchovies, we're gonna have the pork bones, we're gonna have the chicken bones, okay? All of these savory, meaty flavors, my friends, they're going to go such a long way and give us a truly beautiful and really true to the word, it will give us a superior stock. Okay, is my stock boiling? Yes, it is, everybody. Look at my bones. They're blanching and it smells like boiling meat. So, here's all that we're going to go ahead and do. I'm gonna head to the stove really quickly. I am going to take the honors of removing the lid. I'm going to go ahead and successfully remove the lid, my friends. And we don't really need to mix this or anything. In fact, we do want most of that scum to just kind of come out on the top. Okay? So take off the lid, setting a timer, and we want to give this about 9 to 10 minutes or so. Okay? So the goal, you see all of the scum that's coming up to the surface, my friends. All of those proteins would otherwise just be broken down and dissolved into the final stock, which is not what I am looking for whatsoever. I want to go ahead and just really quickly make sure that everything is as submerged as possible. It can be a little bit challenging when you're working with a whole chicken carcass in such a small pot like this. So just do your best to dunk it on inside. Do your best, my friends. Dunk it inside, dunk it in there, and aggressively boil this down. We want to get rid of as much scum as possible. Again, a little bit of smoked pork bone and a little bit of our chicken carcass, right? All of it's coming together, and we're going to drain all that scum out. You don't have to worry about losing flavor because it's only boiling for 10 minutes. It is not enough time for that collagen to significantly break down to gelatin. Okay, last but not least, my friends, some anchovies. Again, not a lot. We don't want this to be a fishy broth. Too much kelp, too much anchovies, and it'll feel a little bit too fishy for what I'm going for specifically. So instead, we'll just do a small little handful. And again, why am I doing the anchovies? Purely for the savoriness. This is inspired by the Serious Eats superior stock, and I'm just making it my own, right? I'm making it my own, and I'm making it really fun, and I'm making it really exciting, and we're using up some of these existing leftovers that I have. So let's go ahead and get a small little handful of anchovies, okay? Again, it's only here to continue to add in some depth, my friends. Small little handful. I'm gonna maybe say just about this many anchovies, nothing more, nothing less. I don't want it to taste fishy. I don't want it to taste like a miso stock or anything. I just want a little bit. I know I keep going over and over on that one point, but I do think it's important so that we keep the integrity of the superior stock. It's about the pork and it's about the chicken, okay? And these are all flavorings for it. So, I'm gonna go ahead and just get my ginger and my scallions and my kelp all together. And I think that should be it for the stock. That's how easy it is. Ginger, scallions, kelp, anchovies, chicken, and then some cured pork bones, smoked pork bones, that is. Okay? It's boiling, everybody. It's all coming along. It's all coming together, and it's all getting really, really nice and delicious. So now we have a couple of moments. We have a couple of seconds that we can just go ahead and chill out. I'm going to go ahead and put away a few herbs into the fridge. If anybody has any questions, once again, this would be an amazing time to go ahead and ask me. Look at all of that scum. You can see it boiling and you can see it all going over to one side of the pot. And that is exactly what we want. We want to drain off all of that scum. So the only thing that we need to really set up and prepare for that is we just got to get a strainer in the sink. We got to get one strainer into the sink, large enough to be able to accommodate all of my bones. We'll give them a nice good wash, and then we'll add them into the pressure cooker pot that we have. And speaking of which, let's just go ahead and add that now into, well, actually maybe we can just keep that in the shot a little bit longer, right? So, once again, scallion, right? We got some scallion whites, we have some dried anchovies, we have some kelp, and we have some ginger. Inside of here, smoked pork bones instead of ham, instead of pork trotters, and chicken. So, not super traditional, but we are continuously adapting things into the home setting, into my home setting. And I'm always, everybody, I'm always thinking about how can I use up these different ingredients. I'm very new to using smoked pork bones. I only really know them in the southern context, right? And I thought that this would be like a very natural pivot. Iced green tea, well, I'm happy to, I'm happy to provide in that case. That's what I'm here to do. Okay, so in the meantime, we can just still always be thinking, everybody, how can I get rid of the things that I have out? What do I not need at the moment? Specifically, scallion and my cilantro. I was just gonna garnish the bok choy with a little cilantro. We don't really need it right now. Also, thank you so much for the sub, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it into the fridge so that it stays nice and fresh. Putting away all the different stuff that we don't need, because everybody, having your food out and ready to go is so important when you cook at home. You don't want to be running around, you don't want to be reaching for a million different places. Okay, so only put things away into the fridge if it will actually damage the quality in some kind of a significant way. All right, back to the blanching of the bones that we have going on here. And we do get rid of a very superficial amount of the fat, which can be nice. A little bit of fat in a stock is good, but too much fat, my friends, and then it does become truthfully unpleasant. Too much fat inside of a stock, it just makes the top of it greasy. The fat will never emulsify or anything. It's fat in water, right? Chef, what have you got against broccoli stems? You should try it with some hummus, it's great. So, welcome on in. I don't really want to say your tags, I'm gonna say poppers instead. The reason why I don't like broccoli stems is that texture, that snap, I find it to be quite unpleasant. Also, Nick Tendis, welcome on in. Lovely to have you. As always, everybody, if you want to know what we're making, if you want a full list of all the ingredients, exclamation mark menu. But yeah, I really do not like the texture of a raw or crunchy or cooked broccoli stem. The only way that I've been able to ever enjoy broccoli stems has been blended into a soup, has been blended into a puree or something. I find that it's amazing to use there because it adds so much flavor. So I apologize if that makes me a little bit of a baby about this, right? I have to have it blended up into my toddler food. I have things like that as well. I've tried broccoli stems in a lot of different preparations throughout my life, and I've realized that I don't like that crunch very much. I like it in the context of the florets. This might be because of my upbringing. This might be because of the fact that I heavily associated with it. Okay, the fat will never emulsify. What about tonkotsu? This is mostly the same ingredients. Foxy, amazing question. And here is my answer for you. You know how cloudy and fatty tonkotsu is? So there's a couple of things going on. With tonkotsu specifically, you are intentionally cooking in the scum. It is the scum itself that emulsifies. Now, what may happen is that as you break down the scum, the viscosity of it increases just enough that it's able to take in fat. But in my mind, the majority of tonkotsu fat is always still at the top. The cloudiness, the scum, it all blends in, but I'm quite skeptical of how much of the fat actually blends in itself. It might be a little bit, and of course, anything viscous will be able to hold on to a little bit more fat than something that is, just the consistency of plain water after all. But in the case of this is not emulsified. The fat will never emulsify in just what is straight water. You need viscosity. You need a lot of gelatin in it, for example, right? You need it to be thick and syrupy, something with the consistency of a demi-glace, right? Vashrain, oh, excellent. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have all of you. Hope you're all doing amazing. Homemade superior inspired stock, koi, that's mostly just because that's what it's called. Superior stock is a type of stock. You made the account as a kid, you could always change it. You can change it on Twitch. Superior stock is just the kind of a stock that is oftentimes used in Chinese cuisine. And I don't know why it's called that other than the fact that it has a lot of different ingredients, right? It has like the ham, it has the pork trotters, and it has a lot of different aromatics. So it's definitely quite maximalist as far as stocks go. About a minute and a half left, and then I think we'll be all set for this today. I understand the texture thing. I'm similar with avocado. Yeah, Ellie, not the best with it. Okay. Chef, I study a lot of fluid dynamics, so anytime you say viscous, it awakens a sleeper agent in me. That's right, I love that word. I love viscous, I love viscosity. Welcome on in to everybody just joining us. Welcome to the Best Cooking Show on Twitch. It is lovely to have each and every single one of you. If any of you have any questions at any point in time, once again, please feel free to ask me. I taught everybody how to butcher and break down a whole chicken. I taught everybody, also, Two Dads Kissing, thank you so much for the sub, really appreciate it. I taught everybody how to break down a whole chicken, and the magic of using a whole chicken in a home setting, everybody, is that we get all of those bones. This whole chicken was on sale, it was quite cheap for what it was. We got all of that meat, and then we get to take all of that amazing byproduct, we get to take all of those amazing bones, and we get to use it for something greater. So, I have a strainer set up in my sink. We're going to rinse it under some nice cold water. The spices are a must. Here on Queen, this is not going to be the spiciest. It's just a Sichuan glass noodle. I believe it directly translates as ants climbing up a tree or ants on a tree. This one is very minimalistic as far as Sichuan food goes, so you'll see it. Yes, Koi, you did miss the breakdown of the chicken itself. So, everybody, my strainer is already in my sink. I'm going to begin, because my tap takes a little bit of time for it to actually get there. I'm going to begin running some cold water, okay? It's been boiling. My bones have been officially blanched, everybody. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy off the heat, rinsed, so that we can rinse off all of the scum. Again, why do we rinse the scum? Why are we quote-unquote wasting flavor? To improve the mouthfeel. That scum, it doesn't give you the best, cleanest tasting broth. Okay, it doesn't give you the best, cleanest taste. It doesn't give you the best visual appeal, and it also does not give you the best texture. Okay, so I'm dumping out all of my liquid. I'm dumping out all of my chicken bones. All of it goes, my friends. All of it goes. All of it goes. All of it goes inside of my sink. All of it goes under the strainer. And then we're going to go ahead and rinse it off a little bit. Again, is this step super necessary? No. But I find that it's the most necessary with specifically, you know, when you're doing pork and beef bones. Pork and beef bones compared to chicken especially have a lot of scum in there that you want to go ahead and get rid of. So I'm currently cooling it down with some nice cold water from my tap, my friends. And all that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to rinse off each and every single one of my bones. I'm going to go ahead and take the chat with me. I'm going to have you guys with me while I'm doing this so that I can read all of you and read all the different amazing things that you're all saying about me. So what happened, cool name? Well, you're watching a cooking show now. Welcome to the Best Cooking Show on Twitch. We just blanched some bones for the stock, and now I'm going to be going in there one by one and cleaning off said bones. Okay, rinsing it off, cooling it down, and then going ahead and getting our other pot that we will be making our lovely stock in. So I'm just cooling it just enough that I'll be able to successfully handle it, everybody. So please bear with me for a moment. I got a nice faucet. Thank you, Panic Stasis. Also, welcome on in. I hope you're having an amazing day today. So everybody, once again, I don't have a sink camera yet. One day, sometime soon, I think it would be amazing and so cool for us to have one. So in the meantime, you're going to have to bear with us. Zavanoya, welcome on in. Hope you're having an excellent day. If you'd like to see what's going on, you can type in ! menu for the full list of all the ingredients. What we did so far is we blanched, aka we quickly boiled some bones, and then we're going to be rinsing it off in some nice cold water. Okay? And the reason why we did that is to get rid of some scum that could have modified the taste and the mouthfeel of my lovely, beautiful chicken stock. So now, I'm taking it and rinsing off all of my bones, my friends. Once again, I apologize that I'm not going to be able to be more interactive while we do this stage. One day we'll have a sync camera, but that day is not today. There's a lot of logistics and a lot of money there to consider. Thank you, Cadence. I appreciate that. It's very sweet of you. So going in the rinsing my bones. Get really in there, my friends. If you want to get like super precise about it, you could even use like a brush. That does have a shower-like spray, correct. But if you did that with this, then you would make a mess all over your kitchen. In fact, I almost never use that shower spray function on it, I find that it's not all that useful. Okay. Once again, just going through my chicken bones, getting rid of all of the scum that could be on them at the moment. All the scum, it's all got to go, my friends. And the chicken is still mostly raw, by the way, so you do want to keep that in mind. You want to take caution for that. I apologize that such a boiling step has to be televised, but we have to get it done anyways. Rinsing it off. And it's okay, once again, if there's a little bit of scum left over. We just got rid of the majority of it through the boiling process. And there you go. You love all of the steps, TBH? Well, ice green tea, I'm glad. I'm glad that you can feel that way. I, for instance, don't really love this step as much, but that's okay. That's all right. So, everybody, it is now time for us to go ahead and officially finish the stock. So what do we have in here? We're making a superior stock, or rather something heavily inspired by a superior stock. A superior stock in Chinese cooking, okay, most often used for something like a wonton soup. Traditionally, it is made with pork trotters, it is made with ham, and it's made with chicken as well as a couple of other aromatics. I had smoked pork bones in my freezer. And so instead of buying ham, instead of buying pork trotters, I've decided to use those pork bones. So we broke down a whole chicken, we have pork bones. Next, everybody, all of my aromatics that we prepped, right? We have some kelp going in for some meatiness. We have some scallion whites that have been heavily washed. Okay, we have some ginger, and then we have just a few dried anchovies, my friends. Okay, heavily inspired by the Serious Eat Superior stock, that is. And now the only thing left for us to do is we're going to go ahead and cover all of our bones with a little bit of water and get it pressure cooking. Get it going, and I love doing my stocks in the pressure cooker, my friends. The pressure cooker, it does it so much faster instead of watching a pot for 2 hours, and it makes it so much more feasible and realistic to do in a home setting. Okay, so how much water? Just enough to be able to cover all of our ingredients. We don't need too much headroom on it or anything. But I don't want this to be a heavily concentrated stock, my friends. If the stock is too concentrated, it's not going to make our greens pleasant. We want it to be really silky. We want it to be really, really delicious, but we don't want it to be unpleasant by any means. So, quickly covering my bones with some more water. And again, everybody, if you don't get 100% of the scum off, that is totally and 100% okay. All right, and I could use probably a little bit more water here. Okay, everybody, pressure cook, gonna be setting it on to high. You have a dozen of those Neophoric shirts. I love Neophoric. Sean Solo, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Pressure cook. And once again, everybody, I will continuously advocate for the use of a pressure cooker in a home setting. It is my favorite way to make stocks. It is my favorite way to make beans. I think everybody should own a pressure cooker for something like this. High pressure, 40 minutes, leave it alone, let it go ahead and do its thing. Okay, so the stock is done. That was the most important thing for us to go ahead and get out of the way now, because it needs a good amount of time to cook. The next step, my friends, is we're going to prep a little bit of rice. In the meantime, we have a couple of dishes that we can go ahead and put away. Okay, right? Again, when we're cooking at home, we're always thinking about what we no longer need, what is contaminated we don't want to wash. We clean as we go, my friends. We clean as we go. Okay, so important, so essential. That's right, love a clean station. This is a home cooking show above all else. Doug's pressure cooker is just the right volume on stream to sound like it's coming through my kitchen. Well, happy to help out. Everybody, if you like what we're doing here, if you want to support the show, exclamation mark Patreon. Best way to go ahead and directly financially support the show. My goal is to be able to go full-time one day, and all the money from the Patreon goes back directly to the stream itself. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get my strainer out of here. I'm just gonna quickly get that rinsed off, because my strainer, all of its holes are clogged with a bunch of scum on it, so it's a little bit annoying. You're the opposite of me. I prefer my beans low and slow in a crock pot. So Godzilla's, actually, that is not a bad idea at all. And I'm gonna tell you why that's not a bad idea. Because the beauty of doing low temperature cooking for a bean is that it stops the skins from splitting as much. With a pressure cooker, you have to be a little bit more exact about your timing to make sure that your beans don't explode. But the benefit of a crock pot is that it cooks it really, really slowly and really gently, that it significantly minimizes the amount of agitation, and it also significantly minimizes your risk of overcooking it. So, if you like to do it in a crock pot, do not let me stop you at all. I just want to show off my methods. I want to show off my own innovations, and also pressure cookers, quite frankly, they let me get stuff done in a stream setting as well. Okay? So everybody, today is going to be really, really simple home cooking above all else. These are not complex dishes. Okay? Now, in Chinese cooking, oftentimes at the table, you would eat everything with rice. It might seem a little bit odd to eat noodles with rice, but something like glass noodles are not so substantial on their own that I would call it a noodle dish. Right? Glass noodles, they have a lot less, I forgot exactly how it works in regards to like how glass noodles are even made, but oftentimes you would see glass noodles served with something. Okay, so everybody, we have to do a couple of things really quickly. The first thing that we're going to do is freeze our bacon. And we're going to go ahead and talk about the inclusion of my bacon, why it's even here to begin with, and why am I freezing it altogether. Okay, so traditionally, the dish that we're making today is done with either some kind of ground meat. I had already some leftover bacon sitting inside of my fridge. Okay, what I want to do is the following. I want to use this bacon as a substitute for ground meat. I'm going to be using my food processor for this. There's a few ways to go about it. If you don't have a food processor and you don't have a meat grinder, you could use 2 knives and go brrr and go at it quite a bit. No matter the method, no matter the grinder, no matter the food processor, no matter the knives, you need it really, really cold. If it's too warm, the fat is going to smear, and it's also going to stick to your knives on the way down. Could you use a Vitamix on low? No panic stasis, because a Vitamix is a blender and not a food processor. Blenders are good for achieving liquidized, homogenized textures. Smoothies, purees, soups. Food processors are what you use when you want bits, when you want crumbles of something. This would be too thick to put into a blender. So again, if you don't have a blender, if you don't have a food processor, if you don't have a meat grinder, which would be ideal, right? You would just use 2 knives. You would go at it with 2 knives. The first thing, everybody, we're going to freeze up this bacon. I'm going to be using a food processor. Freeze it 30 minutes to an hour or so. Okay? Get it done. Get it happening. Get it thrown into the freezer while we go ahead and we do everything else. Okay, next, my friends, we are going to be making, of course, a lovely batch of rice. I now own a rice cooker. I love talking about it and teaching how to make stovetop rice every single time. Now that I own a rice cooker, I'm gonna be using a rice cooker. Sometimes we won't, and I'll still talk about how to make perfect stovetop rice, but today is not gonna be that day. At the moment, I need to make an executive decision on the kind of rice that I wanna have today, and I think I'm still gonna be going at my massive, massive sack of basmati rice. I have this huge sack of basmati. I don't personally love basmati rice. I don't love basmati rice. I don't love long grain rice is the most I have to say, but this is what I have at home, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this instead. So Poppers, you said you can never get your rice right. Well, that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and teach you how to do it. I'm gonna teach you how to do it in here, and then we'll also talk about a stovetop method. The key to understanding how rice cooks, everybody, is the following. And I need to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please and thank you. The key to understanding the way that rice cooks, okay, is that you cannot use temperature or time as your measurements. It's all about water ratios. So, you know how your rice sometimes gets a little too mushy and it gets a little bit too soft? That's because you had too much water. It's not that you overcooked it, it's because you had too much water. Now, if your bottom is too crusty, that means that your heat was too high. It's okay for you to sometimes have like a crusty bottom like layer of rice. That can be very, very delicious and favorable. But the only thing is you don't want too high of a heat because it makes the bottom of it too crusty. So everything comes back to 2 factors: starch and water ratio. I'm gonna say it again: starch and water ratio. I'm gonna be making 2 cups of rice today. Okay, and this is basmati. In general, with basmati, I find that you need a little less water than you think you do. The key, you never want to think about 2 cups to 1 cup. You never want to think about ratios. You don't want to do any of that kind of nonsense, my friends. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to grab 2 cups And again, some people, they wash the rice to get a more granular effect. Some people leave a little bit of rice so that it's a little bit softer and stickier. The more that you leave, right, the less that you wash it, that is, the more starchy and sticky it's going to end up being. So 2 cups of rice, got it all nice and measured. Okay. I wish I put my bacon in sooner so that we could theoretically grind it up a little bit sooner. Everybody, we might run out of things to do before the stock is done. Do I recommend a rice cooker over a stove? So here's my opinion. I have lived without a rice cooker and I've learned how to perfect and master rice in a home setting without one. I do not actually think that anybody, quote unquote, needs a rice cooker. The benefit of one is the fact that it's able to, take care of it by itself. You don't have to wash it. It doesn't develop a crust on the bottom. That's also pretty significant. And third of all, it's able to keep it warm throughout the day. Rice cookers are especially useful in households where you're eating with a lot of people and multiple meals a day with rice. I did not need one. This was my roommate's purchase. So do you need one? Do I definitely recommend it? No. I recommend it if you're eating it multiple times a day, or you want it to stay warm throughout the day, or you have multiple people that would benefit from it, or you really hate the task of doing stovetop rice cooking. So everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what we do. I'm gonna be using a claw grip, and I'm gonna be washing this out with some nice cold water. Now, you don't need to listen to the people that say you must always wash rice. You wash rice to get as much starch out as you want. If you want a stickier rice, you will keep some more in. If you want a more granular and separated rice, think about like a fried rice, you want to basically wash it till it's totally clean. It is a non-stick rice cooker, which is important because rice, I do prefer to make it in a non-stick pot because it doesn't develop as much of a hard crust on the bottom. Okay, so I always, even on stovetop, I would prefer to do it on non-stick as opposed to stainless steel. Everybody, I'm just going to pass it through with a bunch of water. I'm going to submerge it. We're not going to agitate it too much. Right? We don't want to completely destroy the granules or anything. We just want to go ahead and rinse off as much excess starch as we deem fit. And so in my case, I'm going to be giving it 4 to 5 passes or so. And so, a lot of people might be going, oh, Daramgar, this rice is completely unseasoned. You need to understand that different cultures have different relationships with their staple grains. In most East Asian households, yeah, rice is going to be completely unseasoned because the goal is to have other food that's seasoned. The goal is to have stews and vegetables that you can eat over the rice itself. Now, that does not mean that you always should or you always shouldn't season your rice. It kind of depends who you're impressing, it depends which culture you're basing this off of, and it depends on your intentions, my friends. There is no right or wrong way to most things in cooking. Okay, it's a very important lesson that I think everybody should learn. There is no such thing as right or wrong. There is only right or wrong relative to your own intentions. So, a few passes. I'm going to go ahead and fill it up with some water now. The nice part about a rice cooker is that it does give you the lines where they want you to add the water up until. But guess what? I don't really like using them. I find that they always have a little bit too much water. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pour some of this out. It's always a little bit too much, so I make sure to do a little touch less, especially for basmati rice, especially for long grain rice. I found that I want a little bit less than I always think I do. Okay, everybody, so come take a look. 2 cups of basmati rice. So how much water do you need to add? This is going to apply for both stovetop methods as well as rice cookers. Some people say the following. Some people say we need the fingertip method. And they stick their fingertip in and it's like, oh, if it goes to the top of my nail, that's how I know it's perfect. I find that that fingertip method has yielded me nothing but consistently mushy rice. Mushy rice with too much water. Everybody, here is the theory. First step, there's 3 levels of water that we need to hit. The first amount of water that we add is right up to the level of the rice itself. Then, depending, especially if you're doing this on a pot, you always want, let's say, 1/2 inch to 1 inch of water above it to make sure that you're accounting for evaporation. Then any more water that you add on top of that is going to make it softer. If you want really granular rice, for something like a fried rice, then we would do less. In my case today, I want rice that's a little bit softer. It's not going to be granular. It's not going to be like too much like fried rice, but I'm still pulling out a little bit of water because it's basmati. Okay, so take it, claw it, make sure that it's sitting in there nice and even, my friends. A claw, very similar to like the tool that they would use for espresso. I can already tell you still that that is too much water. I'm gonna do another little drop away. And this is something that you need to repeat. I encourage you to keep repeating this process until you have done a lot of different kinds of rice in the same vessel, but try to do the same volume of rice, and you will build up that feel over time. There's a couple of fruit flies in my kitchen at the moment, and truthfully, they are driving me a little bit nuts. I've poured out that little bit of water. I still feel like I want a little bit less. I'm looking at it relative to the lime. Mushy watery rice is disgusting. That's right. The reason why I hate mushy watery rice is especially because of how bland it is. You lose all of the flavor of the rice because of how much water it absorbs. So, everybody, rice, water, set in the rice cooker. If you're doing this on stovetop, bring it up to a boil. Give it a gentle stir. You don't want to agitate as it cooks. Bring it to, make sure that it's bubbling. Drop it to the lowest possible heat and slap a lid on it. Nice tight lid. And let it go as slowly as possible, 20 minutes or so. 20 minutes, evenly, perfectly cooked. Okay, so this bad boy going inside, nice and easy. That's the benefit of the rice cooker. Right, there's nothing really for us to babysit when it comes to this. Set it and quite literally forget it. Right, that is the benefit. That is why people, own one of these things. It takes 40 minutes for us to make it in here. It'll be faster on stovetop, but the benefit of it is that it cooks it so slowly that it doesn't agitate the grains. Right? Cooking rice as slowly as possible will always be the ideal method, my friends. Okay? So, setting it on, letting it do its thing. There you go. And it's doing its thing. That's great. So do they typically use basmati in China or a different type? Well, it really depends. Ice green tea. You have a lot of different kinds of rice for different uses. Specifically, I feel like in Chinese cuisine, you would use most often, what would you use? You would use jasmine rice, typically. Medium grain rice, but jasmine rice is especially known for its aromatic quality. It's especially known for how floral it is. My pressure cooker, despite the fact that we've already frozen the bacon, and the fact that we got the pressure cooker going, it's not even built up pressure yet. Everybody, we might be in for a pretty long stream today. I don't think I timed everything necessarily the best. So you know what we'll do? We'll slow down the steps. We'll slow it down, and then we'll try to make everything as informative as possible today. Right? We'll try to slow everything down. It'll be great. Okay? So, what am I going to go ahead and do in the meantime? Everybody, we have a little bit of downtime. Let's go ahead and wash up some of our existing equipment. Drem, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Hope you're having an excellent day today. I'm going to go ahead and begin washing off my pot here. We're going to use this pot for a couple of other uses today. And so I thought it'd be nice just to go ahead and get rid of it now while we're at it. Now, cleaning off the scum off the sides, stuck proteins are one of the most difficult things, honestly, in a kitchen setting to clean off. You're gonna need hot water, you're gonna need some soap, and you're gonna need a lot of love and a lot of abrasion, my friends. Okay, so maybe a non-stick pan would be a little bit more optimal, but even then it can very well stick to a non-stick pan. So, I'm gonna get ahead of it now. I'm gonna go ahead and start washing things up, everybody, just again in the interest of staying as clean and as composed as possible. And then we'll get to all the other million little steps that we gotta get done for today. Okay. Oh yeah, that stuck protein, my friends, super, super obnoxious. Again, I don't know if anybody has any really good solutions to that besides like bartender's friend. Am I familiar with Surinamese cuisine? No school of rock and roll. In fact, I don't even know which part of the world that would be in. Like, rather like, what is this most similar to? Which part of Asia are we in? Right? Because, a lot of times in cooking, you don't have like super harsh geographical borders, but you have like South Asian food, you have Southeast Asian, you have East Asian, you have Central Asian as like the general classifications. And so, I have no idea where Surinamese is. Northern South America. Actually, in that case, I didn't know that if that was Asian or not. Northern South America. Okay, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about Surinamese cuisine. I don't know anything about Surinamese culture or food. And so I'd love to know more about it in that case. I don't really know the cultural influences. I don't know if this is more of like an indigenous food, because a lot of the cuisine of South America is very, very, very complicated with a lot of different influences. What about North African? I'm from North Africa. Oh yeah, as far as like North African food goes, I feel like we've definitely represented it here on stream a couple of times. Is Ethiopia technically North African? I believe it might be. It's North Brazil, traditionally African, Indian, and Chinese. Yeah, that stuff is also really, really exciting to me, because I know like in Guyana, in Guyanese food, there's a lot of Chinese influence there as well. Right? And I feel like that's not something we ever really discuss. We talk about Chinese American food, right? Especially like Cantonese and Sichuan American food, whatnot, but we never really talk about the Chinese food in other places. Hey chef, name every single dish. Sure thing, here on Queen. We'll keep it in mind. Hope you're loving your new home. I love your kitchen. Thank you, Allie. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so everybody, I'm just going ahead and I'm just rinsing out my pot really quickly. I'm getting it out of here. I'm going to get all of that stuck protein. I'm going to get all that stuck scum gone and out of the way. Again, it's super, super obnoxious to clean, so I'm going ahead and just getting rid of it now while we're already at it. Okay. My pressure cooker has built up pressure. It's only going to need about 40 minutes, and then she's going to be all set and all ready to go for us today. Okay, there you go. Everybody, I think I can now say with a certain degree of confidence that my pot is finally cleaned up a little bit. And remember, it is so much easier to clean before you sit down. Don't just go immediately sit down on the couch if you're cooking, my friends. Clean now and you'll thank yourself later. Hey chef, name one Bulgarian dish. I don't know anything about Bulgarian food actually. I would not be able to tell you. So there's a lot of cuisines that I feel like I'm very, very knowledgeable about, and then there's a lot of cuisines that I kind of know nothing about at all. The cuisines that I feel like I'm uniquely knowledgeable on are Turkish food, Mexican food, and Georgian food. Right, Turkish food and Georgian food are the ones that I grew up a lot around, and so I have a very good sense of like what people eat. It's not considered North Africa. Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt are North Africa. I see. So yeah, quite familiar with some amount of Moroccan food. And regarding Algerian food, the thing that I found most fascinating is this. I remember the first time I went to France for work, it really blew my mind seeing like Algerian takeout places. Algeria never gets mentioned in New York. We don't really have a takeout food culture. So much takeout food culture is influenced by the different immigrant communities that occupy those different places. As a result, with France, there is a really huge Algerian influence and a lot of like the takeout customs, you know, which I think is really, really fascinating. And it's not something that we get a lot of exposure to, especially in New York. Right? And so that's why I find like traveling to other places really cool, not just to find their local cuisine, but to find which other cuisines have taken root there, so to speak, you know? And there's a whole bunch that we just straight up don't get in New York all that much. Okay, everybody, once again, in the interest of continuing to process everything and in the interest of keeping up all of our momentum, let's continue to go ahead and get some stuff done. Now, I have some bok choy today. I'm going to show you how to prep bok choy. It's just some baby bok choy and it'll be great. The only real Algerian food in America is shakshuka. Yeah, and even then shakshuka I think most people think is just Turkish. But again, when it comes to North Africa, the Middle East, and even Mediterranean food, there's so much overlap. Okay? Do I switch to different shapes and sizes of cutlery depending on the food or not? Here on Queen, I don't really have my own cutlery. These are all my roommate's cutlery. Ideally, what I would do, I mean, I feel like I use a small spoon for everything. Oh, everybody, you know what I've always dreamed about? I want all wooden utensils. I hate knives and metal against ceramic plates because it just damages it. I've always fantasized about having a full collection of wooden utensils to eat with. So, one day, I want like stained cherry wood or stained walnut wood. That's what I want. I think that'd be really, really beautiful and amazing to have. But again, there's a lot of overlap actually, so that's what I'm kind of getting at. Throne? Well, not quite. There's not even one that I saw yet. I think if anything, I'll just get them custom made. Okay, everybody, we have some baby bok choy. And now, let me talk to you about one of my biggest gripes with bok choy, or specifically how other people cook it, that I take a sincere issue with. Okay, I do not like this preparation of bok choy where people take it and then they just cut it in half. I don't understand it. It's really clunky to eat. Everybody, how many times have you had like a half baby bok choy in something and you're taking on it and you're gnawing it off the leaves? You're gnawing the leaves off of the stem. And the thing is this, when it's cut in half, you can't even properly clean it. So I don't really like doing that. I don't like eating whole bok choy. So that's why I'm separating it. I'm separating it and I'm getting it all broken down. I personally do not think that it really should be cooked whole. Right? I find it to be a little bit clunky, I find it to be a little troublesome, and I find it to be a little bit difficult to consume sometimes. So, there you go. Just getting all of them nice and processed. Breaking all of those leaves individually down. And I feel quite similarly about cabbage. I don't really like whole roasted cabbages. I don't like halved cabbages. And you know, I find it to be like a little troublesome and a little clunky to be able to eat properly. Okay. Allie, I will eventually. I've just run out of stuff. Woe is me. It's so difficult being me. So again, poppers, if you like whole bok choy, then you're absolutely welcome to have it. Is bok choy similar to anything? Yeah, cabbage. Bok choy is functionally like a cabbage that's a lot, well, I don't think it's as nearly sulfuric. But I find it to be most similar specifically to Napa cabbage. I love bok choy. I find it to be endlessly delicious. And it's also one of those things that feels really good to eat. Okay, we have it separated. Okay, what are we gonna do now? We're going to be soaking it in my handy dandy little salad spinner, one of my favorite kitchen tools now and always. I love my salad spinner. It's also such a nice efficient way of drying off vegetables. Although not super important with the case of bok choy, because these guys are just gonna be boiled. So guys, take a look inside. What do we have? That's dirt. That's dirt on it. We don't want the dirt in our food, do we? Probably not. I want to hear a nice no, chef. Please and thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and just submerge it with some nice cold water, and we'll give it a few passes, and it'll be perfect, and it'll be all ready to go for today, my friends. And I'll use my salad spinner to properly dry it off. So really submerge it in some nice ice cold water, give it a few passes, get it all nice and clean. And again, that is why I like to clean my cabbages without keeping them whole. That is why I like to clean my bok choy like this. I really do not understand where this obsession with keeping vegetables whole came from. Okay, yes, I like crispy, delicious vegetables too, don't get me wrong. But when you keep a vegetable whole, sometimes it's just totally counterintuitive. Okay, so bok choy in here. And the reason why I didn't do this beforehand is because I also wanted to show off this process to all of you. I feel like, again, in the world of food content, not a lot of people show off how to actually wash their vegetables and whatnot. Okay? So all I'm doing is I'm just going through each leaf of bok choy, submerging it into the water, and just getting rid of any and all visible dirt on it. And also helps to get rid of something pesticides by soaking it. Something along those lines. And we'll give it probably just 2 passes in total. Not the dirtiest I've ever seen. Sometimes they'll also have little bugs. That's part of life. That's part of nature. That just happens on occasion. Okay? So, just really making sure that I'm washing off each and every single leaf. And they're not slimy at all. They're not slimy, Boudreaux boy. Take it, strain it out, dump out that water, get him out of here, get him out of sight, get him out of mind. I want nothing to do with him anymore, my friends. And we actually got, honestly, a lot more dirt out of there than I was originally expecting to. Now, what can be deceptive, cabbages especially, they will sometimes have little black spots on them. That is not necessarily dirt. That is just a product of how they grow sometimes. That'll be totally okay to eat. Those little tiny black spots on it, my friends, that is not something you have to worry about. I ate with her sister, and my sister and our parents had a Korean barbecue a while ago, and they told me to be particularly with ordering green vegetables because some are really cheap to get, while others, like watercress, are said to be expensive. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know how expensive watercress actually is. Some greens are definitely not cheap. But in my mind, something like bok choy, really nice, simple, nice and cheap. Okay, just going in there. Again, everybody, nothing too crazy. Nice little pass through. All of that cold water. Right, so you'll see this kind of black spotting sometimes. That is not dirt, right? If you've ever seen a cabbage, you'll see it on the outside. I don't totally know what that is, but I just know this is a natural thing that happens when you grow these kinds of vegetables. Okay. Yep. Everybody, we got it nice and clean. We got it nice and submerged. And now the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to use our salad spinner to its full potential by, that's right, spinning it. I just read that watercress is the healthiest vegetable. Well, there's no such thing as the healthiest or the unhealthiest of something. Sometimes things can be more nutrient dense than others, etc. So I really do not like thinking about food in terms of healthy or unhealthy. You can have diets that are balanced and unbalanced. Guys, if you don't own a salad spinner, you are quite frankly making a mistake, because I love this thing and I love it to death. And I love how simple and I love how easy it can be. Not to make this a product placement for a salad spinner, but it just does the job so well. Spin it, spin it, spin it, spin it, spin it to win it. Spin it up. Okay, gave it a little spin, and everybody, you're gonna see the sheer amount of water that came out without needing to use towels. I love my salad spinner. I use it for all of my vegetable washing. I do it for all of my vegetable processing, especially my fresh herbs. I love this thing to death. Grab it again. What do? We spin it, and we spin it, and we spin it, and we spin it, and we spin it. Everybody, that's about it. That's all the processing that the bok choy is going to need for today. And then it's going to be really simply cooked. Again, why am I doing this dish? Well, I had some leftover bok choy sitting in my fridge. And then also I wanted to show off that Chinese cooking, I feel like, can be really intimidating to a lot of people that don't do a lot of Chinese cooking. It doesn't need to be super component heavy. It doesn't need to be incredibly elaborate. Sometimes it can literally just be, in a very tasty broth, mind you, it can be, right, just some plain old greens. It can be some plain old greens cooked in a little bit of really delicious, flavorful liquid, and it doesn't have to be that much more complicated than that, you know? That is the magic of cooking, everybody. So, all of my bok choy prepped, ready to go, and now we're gonna go ahead and put it out of sight and out of mind, and this is gonna be one of the last things that we do, which is actually going to be the cooking process for the bok choy. Does anybody have any questions for me? It can be about this dish, and it can be about something else. It can be whatever your heart desires in this case. Okay, so that's done. That's all ready to go. Why do so many people in Eastern Europe call their brothers brats? I have no idea here on Queen. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not even something I knew about. Okay, next, everybody, I have a little bit of red onion. The red onion, not really the most traditional component in something like this, but I had a leftover 3/4 of a red onion. So you know what I wanted to do? I just wanted to fry it really quickly, fry it with some garlic, right? And then after it fries with the garlic, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna toss it in with the, with the spinach. Well, not with the spinach, excuse me, with the bok choy. What's my favorite vegetable to eat raw? Poppers, it's gotta be cucumbers. So, onion, root attached. For today, because of the fact that this is going to be mostly an onion topping, my friends, we're going to be cutting it perpendicular to the grains. Excuse me. We're going to be cutting it perpendicular to the grains. Also, Morgan Transplant, welcome on in. And we're going to get just like a bunch of beautiful little slices. I don't want to go paper thin or anything. I still want them to preserve a little bit of crunch when we do saute them. So everybody take it, nice sharp knife, and slice it. And we're going to slice it down, and we're going to get not too thin, not too thick, beautiful little shards of onion. First time on stream, welcome on in. How'd you find the cooking show, Morgan? Love to know. Excellent. And let's do the other one. Grab it and slice it. Would I ever consider making poke? It's a dish that originated out of Hawaii and made of pork. Well, it's not really made with pork. It's made with, well, poke, I feel like the one I'm thinking of is made with raw fish. I don't know a pork poke, though. Now, that also sounds really delicious. A rice bowl with like a pork, that sounds excellent. But the reason why I really wouldn't opt for raw fish in like a home setting is just because, again, I can't really source good quality fish. Browsing Twitter for brawl stuff and was like, hey, who's this? Decided to follow. Now you're streaming like a week later. Well, happy to go ahead and help out in that case. Okay, everybody, so all of my red onions. Again, this is just going to be served alongside the greens, just because I thought it would be a little bit nicer, right? I wanted to go ahead and use it up. I already followed you on Twitter from Smash. I see Morgan. Okay, I'll just go ahead and, of course, using my handy dandy little bench scraper, take it and transfer it over to the bowl. Do I do Smash also? So the Jago, that's a really funny question. Smash was my home for a very long time. That's where I got my start in esports. Right, I was a very prolific Smash commentator. The state of Smash has changed very much, and I haven't been doing Smash commentary as much. But yeah, Smash was my thing for a very long time. So, red onions, nice and beautifully cut up, my friends. Main, I used to compete with Ness Panic Stasis. And I was very good. And I was very, very good. And I was really cool. But I really don't like the state of the game very much. So, a little tragic. Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get some garlic ready for the bok choy as well. We're only going to need about 3 cloves or so, because it's all just going to go over the top as like a garnish, essentially. Okay, 3 garlic cloves, nice and easy, nice and simple. I can go ahead and probably 1, 2, and honestly, that's going to be more than enough. It's not a lot of greens that we're doing today. We don't need too much garlic. Everybody, all that I'm going to go ahead and do, garlic, we're going to be slicing it. The idea is to almost have like a garlic chip on the outside as a garnish for these greens. And so what I'm not looking for is to really, really smash it into oblivion. I'm giving it a light tap just like so, because that is going to help separate the skin from the flesh itself. But we don't want it to be too garlicky today, okay? Again, they're just going to get fried. They're going to be added as a topping over the bok choy, but it's going to be a really, really simple dish overall, very lightly flavored. Okay, so just 3 cloves of garlic is going to be more than fine for my purposes. Take it, smash it gently. We don't want to completely smash it up into oblivion, because we're going to be cutting this into some lovely little slices. And now peel up the garlic, now that we've smashed it, just so gently to peel it up. Beautiful. Come on, buddy. Come on. Please. Please. Come on out. Thank you. Wonderful. Well, rather, everybody, should we do the red onion with maybe the noodles instead? Or we can just fry that up alongside all of our other ingredients? Or should we do that? I think it would make a lot more sense with the noodles. Okay, everybody, depending on, of course, the thing that we're cutting, if it's small, we're gonna opt for a smaller knife. I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly cut off all of the butts. Off all of the butts go, off they go. And we're going to go ahead and just really quickly and thinly, thinly, thinly slice and slice and slice and slice. Normally I'd use a garlic press, but today I'm gonna be looking for chips that you can almost bite into. So just like so. Slice it up. You don't have to be too crazy about this step, guys. It'll all be delicious at the end anyways. But take some time, take some care, give it some love. I know, garlic slicing is definitely a bit of a unicorn for the stream. And last one. Take it, and what do? We slice it up. Excellent. And all I'm gonna go ahead and do, my friends, is we're gonna take a nice small little condiment bowl and put it into said condiment bowl. Scoop up all of it, scoop up all of it. Beautiful. Into my cute little condiment bowl. Good thing you're not cutting onions? Well, hang on, Queen, we already did it. Why would that be a good thing that we're not cutting onions? Okay? Garlic, ready to go. Next, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get a little chunk of ginger. For today, I never like having too much ginger. I oftentimes do a little bit less than like some recipes, I guess, would call for it. How much am I going to be doing for today? I don't know. I'm going to be just totally approximating. Okay. We're going to go ahead and do maybe a chunk this big or so. I think that is going to be plenty of ginger. I don't want it to completely overtake the noodles and everything, okay? So it can be a lot more pungent than you think it is, everybody. So we're going to be doing, of course, the patented, the tried and true spoon peeling method. Why do we do the spoon peeling method? Well, because it's a lot easier than using a peeler, honestly, because you really want to get into the flesh and almost grind it up. Okay? So, spoon, ginger, hold the spoon in your dominant hand and just basically go through it all and rip it off and rip it off and rip it off just like so, everybody. And rip it off and get all of that skin gone. Nice and easy. No need to use a peeler. A nice simple little spoon, the spoon trick of Food Network Your. Okay, excellent. And then everybody, the goal is to get this as finely processed as humanly possible. So what is the best thing that we can do for this ginger? Super, super simple. We're gonna go ahead and smash it. How long do I store my ginger? Well, I only buy very small pieces at a time. I never buy bags of ginger because I never use it in time before it goes bad. I keep it out with my onions and my garlic. Okay, so everybody, we have ginger. We have a small little chunk of ginger. What we can do with it is we can smash it down. Whoa. 5 seconds. We can take it and we can smash it down. And that is exactly what we're looking for. It's going to give us a flat surface that will make cutting the ginger so much easier. So, highly recommend smashing it down like this. And now that that's the case, it's not gonna roll around on your cutting board as much, everybody. Take it and thinly, thinly slice it. Thinly, thinly. We're going to get very, very finely minced up ginger pieces. Take it, rotate it, and what do we do, my friends? That's right, we take it off the knife and we slice it. We never rock chop. I hate the rock chop. I hate that it exists as a technique. I think it's a very, very bad method and it's bad for your knives. So just keep going through it and slice it up until all of it is nice and processed. So the rock chop is when you take your knife and you go brrr, all the way through. I find that it causes your knife to smash into the cutting board and it's super uneven and everything just ends up sticking to your knife. I do not understand how the rock chop ever got popular at all for enough people to demonstrate it and show it off. Okay, hate it. So going back through, going ahead and just chunking up our ginger, my friends, nicely and finely minced because we don't want to bite into a massive, massive piece. Okay. Lovely, gorgeous. One last pass through. Honestly, this might be perfect. I'm gonna say that this is perfect. I'm gonna say that this is definitively perfect. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get, yet again, another small little condiment bowl, just keeping everything nice and neat and organized. There you go, some chopped up ginger. Next, what do we have left to do? Let's go ahead and prep my scallions and my cilantro, as well as begin the soaking for my noodles afterwards, everybody. We're getting all of the prep done. The stock has about 18 minutes left on it, which I think is gonna work out perfectly, because when that is gonna be the case, we're gonna grind up the bacon. We're gonna make everything happen, my friends. So let's go ahead and get my lovely scallions and my lovely cilantro out and ready to go for today. So scallions, we know them, we love them. I love scallions to death. We're going to add in an aggressive amount of scallions into today's dish, right? We're adding in the whites and the greens as well. Everybody, I love scallions, and guess what? So should you. So, aggressive amount of scallions today, aggressive amount. So here on Queen, do I ever order takeouts? It depends how vulnerable I'm feeling. If I'm feeling sad and miserable, oh yeah, absolutely. And I try not to because it costs a lot of money. Okay, so for the whites, and the greens both, we're just gonna cut them up into some nice meaty chunks. I love big chunks of scallions, my friends. I love big chunks of scallions. I love scallions to death. My favorites. Okay, so going ahead, nice, big, beautiful blades of these scallions that will get added into the glass noodles. Perfect. And then these guys we're gonna cut up a little bit finer, and then we'll do them only as a garnish. Okay, well, I don't know. I don't care really. It's all gonna be delicious at the end of it. I think we're not gonna use any for garnish this time around. I think we're just going to cook all of them in evenly and equally. So, everybody, I'm just chunking it up. No rhyme or reason. Just chunking it up into roughly the size that I would like them throughout the glass noodles. Okay, something like that. Don't gotta go too crazy about it, my friends. It's all gonna get mixed in, and it's all going to get nice and delicious, and that is gonna be perfect for my purposes today. Don't gotta overthink everything in the kitchen, only some things. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and grab all of my lovely scallions and set them aside. Last thing, everybody, cilantro. Not particularly traditional in either of these dishes, but I have some leftover cilantro, and I thought it would be a delicious addition to specifically the bok choy. So, Scallions I can go ahead and put aside for now. Where's my cilantro? What's my schedule? Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, 5 p.m. EDT. Everybody's Sunday stream might be a different time. I may need to notify the Discord, but it might be happening at a different time because I will be casting Brawlhalla that day. It might get canceled. Sunday stream may get canceled. I don't know yet. We might make it up later in the week. I still have to make a decision about that. Okay, everybody, as for the cilantro, I'm just going to roughly take off some of the biggest stems. I'm one of those people that say that cilantro often tastes like soap. So Burrito Boy, in that case, I would recommend trying culantro. Culantro, similar enough in flavor. People say you can replace it with parsley. Parsley tastes night and day. You can try culantro. Okay, so everybody, once again, I'm only including cilantro in this because I had some. And you know what? You know what goes well with greens? Even more greens. Cilantro with some bok choy? Sure, that sounds delicious. I'm just getting rid of the biggest and the thickest and the most fibrous of stems that we want nothing to do with in our final product. Okay, and I'm saving all the lovely little leaves for texture reasons. Okay. Perfect. Almost done with my batch. And we don't even need to really cut it up too much because it's all, again, going to just cook into the bok choy once we do pour over the hot broth, that hot, delicious stock on it. Okay. Who saw cilantro and stuffed it in their mouths? The Django, somebody probably very hungry. That is how we have figured out that all the things that are edible are indeed edible. Through a lot of many years of human trial and error is the answer. Okay, everybody, guess what? Cilantro stems are officially done. And we're not going to chop these. We're not going to crush them. We're not going to destroy them. Only thing that we're going to do, everybody, we're going to take all of my lovely, beautiful cilantro leaves and we're going to bundle them up. We're going to bundle them up in our little hand. Oh yeah, a sea urchin especially is like, or an oyster. Those guys don't look inviting. Okay, take it, bundle it up, and all that we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to slice it up. And we're going to slice it, 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 and we're going to slice it. Not going to crush it, not going to chop it, not going to destroy it. Just nice even slicing all the way through, just to give us some slightly smaller leaves. And I think that's going to be perfect for today. That's going to be just fine for the bok choy, my friends. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and scoop that aside and put onto the same plate as the bok choy so I don't use up too many plates or anything. Okay, excellent. Everybody, we're almost done with all of the prep for today. The last thing that we're going to need to do is it's time for us to soak the glass noodles. Why do we soak the glass noodles? It stops us from absorbing or needing too much water later on in the process. So, glass noodles, I'm going to be making all of these today. I'm going to be making this entire package. I've got mouths to feed. And get them all inside. I love glass noodles, and it's something that I want everybody to be making more often. I love how slippery they are. I love the chew of a glass noodle. I love the texture of a glass noodle. I quite frankly prefer them to almost every other kind of noodle. These are one of my favorites. I love them to death. I want to get a nice croissant and yes, chef, please and thank you, because I want you all to understand how yummy and delicious they are. We're going to soak them in some cold water. They're going to need water. They're thirsty. They're going to want to absorb some of that water, and it also really helps them to cook in the final stock, in the final pan itself. So, just quickly getting all of that rice noodle, all that glass noodle, excuse me, soak them with some nice ice cold water. You can do, some people do boiling, some people do hot water. Ice cold water is going to be ideal for this because it's not going to absorb too much of it. I want it to mostly absorb some of that lovely stock that we're making. And now is going to be a really good time to do a recap session. Everybody, we're making Chinese food today, and we're making some really simple, basic Chinese home dishes today. We're going to be doing Sichuan glass noodles that are made with pork, in my case some bacon. We're going to be doing some braised bok choy in this delicious homemade chicken stock, and we're making some rice. That chicken stock is currently going 10 more minutes in the pressure cooker, made with smoked pork bones, made with chicken bones, anchovies, ginger, and scallions. We've sliced up ginger, we've sliced up garlic, we've sliced up some onion, we've sliced up some scallions. The last little thing that we have to do, my friends, we're also soaking the glass noodles at the same time. The last thing that you and I have left to do together before we actually commence the cooking is, of course, going to be to grind up that bacon. I have never ground meat in a food processor before. I've never done it. I don't actually really know how it's going to go. So we're gonna set up a food processor and you and I are going to learn together today. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and find out. I'm gonna go ahead and make a little bit of space. Oh, and this is also the key ingredient, by the way, for the Sichuan glass noodles, the tobanjan. Super, super important, super delicious. Tobanjan is like a spicy fermented chili and bean paste. And it is the base of mapo tofu, if you're more familiar with that. Also, sweetness and light. I don't know if I said thank you for the sub, but thank you for the sub. I might have ignored that, actually. Which I don't want to do to any of my lovely subscribers. You've given me your money, and thus you've bought attention. Okay, so moving everything aside, making a little bit of space for us, let's go ahead and get my lovely food processor out. Everybody, we've kept the bacon in the freezer because the goal, again, you want it to be a little bit firm. If it's just straight up warm bacon, it's going to smush around. It's not going to grind up properly inside of the food processor. So, grabbing my food processor. The question is, do we do it in batches? I don't think I have enough bacon to justify doing this in batches at all, quite frankly. So maybe I'm opposed to that as a concept. Let's grab my big, beautiful, gorgeous, lovely food processor. And we're gonna take the bacon out of the freezer. Everybody, do you wish me luck? I wanna hope that everybody's as confident as me that this will go well. Again, I've never done it before. Ideally, you would use a meat grinder. Hello, please go into the outlet. Thank you. It works. It's all set up for today, my friends. Let's see how it goes. Tobanjan sounds like a Korean word, am I right? I'm ignorant? No, Papa, you're absolutely right, because it sounds like doenjang. It sounds like gochujang, right? Jang, I believe, just like generally, there's a lot of shared language here that you need to consider as well, especially when it comes to like different East Asian words for like a lot of different food items. There's a lot of shared language. So it's actually, I think, a very astute observation in that case. Also, thank you so much for the gifted sub, Sweetness and Light. Really appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tie up my hair really quickly. And I think I'm just gonna use like some kitchen shears to be able to get this into slightly smaller chunks. My bacon right now at the moment is in pretty large pieces. So we're gonna take it and we're gonna go ahead and grind it up and hopefully it goes well. And if it not, well, we'll make do somehow. Country girls, make do, my friends. Okay. So I got my bacon. I don't want to handle it too much. I don't want to melt that fat, everybody. So I'm going to just go in now and I'm using some kitchen scissors just to be able to get this into slightly smaller chunks inside of my food processor. It's not that much meat, so I don't actually think I'm going to need to do multiple batches or anything. Okay, this is it. This is the definitive moment. Is this going to be able to work? We'll find out. Take it. Pulse it, pulse it, pulse it, pulse it, pulse it, pulse it. Oh my God, that is working quite well, I think. Is it? How well is that working? Honestly, not so bad. There's a couple of chunks on top that have not completely gone down. What is superior broth like that and act that way around all the broth? Superior broth taza, welcome on in, welcome to the show. It's used mostly in Chinese cooking. It's oftentimes used for wonton soups and it's superior because it has pork and it has ham and it has chicken inside of it. Everybody, I think that I have a ball of ground up bacon. I think that's how easy it was to just grind my own bacon. Is that what I'm doing now? Am I gonna start grinding leftover meats in my food processor now? Is that what I'm gonna do? Is that who I've become? That is perfectly ground up. Why am I grinding it up again? Because I'm using it as a substitute for pork in this dish today. That's the magic of it. That's the really, really special part. That, honestly, looks quite good. So this shouldn't turn on if I don't have a lid attached to it. Okay, I guess that's who I am now. That's pretty good. I am really, everybody, this is a nice, coarse, pebbly grind that we have here. Beautiful. There's a couple of whole chunks in there still that I think what I should do is I should start taking out some of the mass. I should start taking out some of the filling. I might have wanted to heed the advice a little bit more of doing this in batches rather. But that is quite good. Now, it might be a little too pasty in some places. Again, I just think I should have done this a little bit more in batches. So that's kind of on me, if anything. So I'm going to try and take out all of the pork that's not in chunks. Yep. All of the pork that's already in nice little bits. And we're going to go ahead and get it out of there. Everybody, I am quite happy, I must say, about how that worked out. I did not expect that to go nearly that well, but every time that I've used this lovely food processor, I must say I've been quite impressed. Is that enough to do it? Is that enough to grind it down? Well, there's a couple of bits. There's still a couple of streaks that really, really do not like getting ground. And I'm getting increasingly annoyed with them as time goes on. So I'm going to remove even more of the filling. They're just not properly catching is what's happening. But honestly, everybody, I'm already quite impressed with how well this has seemed to work out. Well, hello. Pop back in. Thank you. And let's take a look at it this time. Yep, everybody, guess what? Perfectly ground pork. Now, might be a little bit too fine, might be a little bit too mushy, might be a little bit too pasty, but that is going to be totally okay. I don't mind how this came out at all. I am, in fact, dare I say, quite impressed. Hi, Chef. Since you wake up at 9 a.m. for the Brawlhalla thing, can we count you as working a cringe 9 to 5? Oh, no. That's right. I guess you can. I guess you can say that about me now. I never thought that that would be me, that I would be the one working a cringe 9 to 5. And yet, here I am. What a tragedy it is to be me. Okay, everybody, I'm just getting all of my bacon. I'm getting all of it out. And I'm going to go ahead and put this right back on into the fridge so that it stays nice and cold. I don't want it to be warm. I don't want my fat to melt out. I'm going to get this bad boy back into the fridge. And it's a lot of fat, and that's okay. We're going to be using this bacon fat in place of additional oil. That is one of my favorite cooking concepts, everybody, is to treat your fat as an ingredient like you would anything else in a dish. Treat it like an ingredient and it'll be great. Not you being employed, I know, School of Rock and Roll. Terrible. Truly, truly awful, awful fate for me. Okay? I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this bad boy. I'm gonna go ahead and get him out of here, out of sight and out of mind. Everybody, everything is all coming together, all of the components. My stock is almost done. My rice is almost done. They got perfectly in sync. They're perfectly in time somehow with each other. Everything is all working out. I'm quite happy about all of this. I'm just going into my glass noodles. I'm just helping them break up a little bit, and I'm flipping them around just to make sure that they're all soaking up nice and evenly. Okay, perfect. Very happy about this. Everybody, the stock is about to come out in 2 minutes. We're gonna release the pressure. You're gonna see how delicious, how aromatic, how flavorful my beautiful stock is, which I'm personally very excited about. I think that'll be delicious. I think that'll be wonderful. I'm very, very happy about that. Gonna go ahead and put away the glass noodles. Gonna go ahead and put away the onions and the bok choy. All of it can go. And we're gonna go ahead and get one more little pot out. Once again, out of sight and out of mind, all of my ingredients. Everybody, we are beginning to enter the final stages, the actual assembly stages, the stages where everything is just going to be able to come together. Before we go ahead and do so, you know what I'm going to do? That's right, wash some dishes. I'm going to get my food processor parts washed and put away now, just so that I don't have to worry about them later on, right? That is the thing that we always want to do in the kitchen whenever we have a little bit of downtime. My rice is almost done, my pressure cooker is almost done. Let's wash those dishes. And can I please get a yes, chef? Everybody, if you like what you're seeing, if you like what you're watching, and you'd like to directly support the show, exclamation mark Patreon, going to my Patreon is the best way to do so. My goal is to be able to go full time one day, and so any and all support there is really, really appreciated. Okay. All the money from the Patreon does in some way go back to the streams, goes back to the cost of groceries and equipment and all the million little expenses that we have, because in the future, I would love to be able to continue to improve and show you guys how cool cooking at home can be. Okay. So, gonna get all my stuff washed up. Gonna get it all out of here. So what did I learn about using my food processor? Well, the thing is this, I should have probably done this in batches. Small batches, scoop it out, add in the next one. I think I ground my bacon a little too finely, which is honestly okay for something like this. But in the future, that might be a little bit problematic. My pressure cooker is beeping. My pressure cooker is yelling at me. I'm so sick of it yelling at me all the time. But that just tells us that we have to go ahead and turn off the pressure and release it. And I will show you how beautiful my stock is. Chef, when will you cook a sea urchin? I'm not that crazy about urchin. I don't find it to be all that delicious. I've had like really, I went to a very nice sushi place once and I thought it's fine. I just don't particularly prize and value really expensive seafood. It has never felt like that special in my mind, and so I don't really care about seafood like that, I have to say. Those kinds of seafood, right? Not really ever been my thing. So I don't personally get it too much, I think, is what I have to say about it. Okay, food processor, just gonna go ahead and knock out a few more of those components while I still can. And then we'll get to the pressure cooker. Just gonna quickly wash off my blade especially. It's so much easier, everybody, especially when it comes to ground meat. Clean it as soon as you are done with it, and do not save it for later, because you will be left with a bit of a headache later on. Okay, everybody, I believe it's gonna be time for us to begin revealing the stock. Releasing the pressure. I'm gonna go ahead and put away a couple of things. Put them behind me. Put them all behind me, everybody. Put them behind me. Into the past. It is going to be time for us to reveal this gorgeous, superior stock that you and I, that's us, that we worked so hard to achieve together. Maybe a little too much anchovy, in retrospect. I think I smell the anchovy more than anything, which is okay. That's not really going to be that huge of an issue. It's just not exactly what I was going for. Yeah, that's maybe aggressively anchovy-ish. I could have done like several less anchovies. Oh well, that's okay. Happens. We'll deal with it. We'll live with it. It'll happen. The pressure from the pressure cooker is releasing, everybody. We're about to break it down. We're about to get all of that lovely, delicious stock out. And then we'll be all set. And we'll be all ready to go for today. It'll be perfect. Aggressive anchovies. I might even want to turn on like a vent in my kitchen just to help with the smell a little bit. Just because, again, it smells like anchovy broth a little bit. So in retrospect, I think I would have used about half as much as I did, but that's okay. We have ginger in there. We still have some scallion in there. I think it'll still be a delicious stock at the end of the day, my friends. So, glass noodles officially soaking. Excellent, and we got it broken down, in fact, too. Now it's soaked enough that we can go ahead and get them independent of each other. Bok choy broken down, all of my soy sauces and stuff are out, ginger, scallion, cilantro, red onions. We have done all of the prep, and we've perfectly timed it all too, which I'm pretty proud of myself for doing successfully. So, it's time. Let's see how it came out. Hopefully it's good, hopefully it's delicious. Hopefully it's not too aggressively fishy, but I think especially with the dark soy sauce and the light soy sauce and a little bit of sugar, I think it's all going to balance out and it's all going to come together. Okay. It is taking a while to release this pressure right now, I have to say. It is taking its sweet old time. Please, chill out. Just a moment longer. Sorry about how awkward this pause is in the meantime. Still dealing with it. I don't think there's anything else for us to really cut or slice or chop up in the meantime, which is great. Excellent. We've gotten, again, most of our prep done and out of the way and out of sight and out of mind. Everybody, it's time to go ahead and look at our beautiful stock. I'm going to go ahead and show you this glorious pot hopefully flavorful, delicious. Oh yeah, I think the anchovy smell was the first thing to come out. I give it another smell, everybody, and now I smell it, and it smells profoundly of the chicken and of the pork, which is what I was looking for. This is still ultimately a chicken and smoked pork stock. So everybody, whoop, hello, come with me. Tahini and pomegranate molasses. Oh, trash can cat mom, that almost sounds like the eggplant stuffed with walnuts. That's what I would go with in that direction, the Georgian dish. So, beautiful stock, nice and golden, nice and delicious, my friends. This stock is so flavorful at this moment in time. It is flavorful, it is delicious, it is rich, it is just about anything and everything that you could have possibly asked for out of a lovely stock. Okay, so we have to go ahead and strain it out. We have to get rid of all the bones. We don't want to do anything with that anymore. We're done with the bones. We're done with all the scraps. I think I'm going to have to probably strain this out into a Dutch oven. I don't think I'll be able to use this pot as I originally had planned. I don't think it has enough volume to hold in all of that stock. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a Dutch oven, my friends. And we'll do the grand reveal of all of the stock. And we'll strain it out, and it'll be delicious, and it'll be perfect. Grab that bad boy. Okay, let's go ahead and move this guy over. Ooh, that handle is hot. Even with the silicone, that stainless steel part, that was a little bit dangerous still. I'm gonna grab a strainer. And let's go ahead and strain out this bad boy, my friends. Let's take it and let's strain it, and strain fast so it doesn't stick to the sides of your pot or anything. And drain it and strain it and strain it all out, my friends, and get all of that golden, delicious stock. Get it all in there. Get it in. Perfect. You don't really want to press it. Resist the urge to press it, everybody. If you press it, you'll get some solids, you'll get some bits, and you'll make it unintentionally cloudy. So don't press it. You could give it at most a little shake, though. And that is that. That is just how easy it is. That is a beautiful, gorgeous, what is called a superior stock. Let's give it a little taste. I want to see how fishy is it? How aromatic is it? Is it delicious? Everybody, let's give it a little taste. It's got smoked pork bones, it's got some anchovies, it's got some kelp, but look at that golden hue. That's because we blanched those bones and we took them out of here. We got this amazing, gorgeous golden color. Very tasty. Not as ham forward, not as pork forward. I could have probably doubled the amount of pork bones in retrospect. But I really didn't want to have too aggressive of a stock. It's definitely quite fishy, but very pleasantly fishy. Like a very nice seafood broth. So, nothing to be afraid of there either. That is quite nice. That is quite lovely. Everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get the strainer out of here. I'm going to let all the contents of it cool down before we go ahead and toss it away. So, as far as the greens go, the greens are kind of the easiest part. The greens are just going to go ahead and get boiled. They're going to go ahead and get boiled in the broth itself. And then the noodles are going to happen. And it'll be great, and it'll be delicious. The only part that's going to be a little bit annoying is still going to be figuring out where and how to fry the garlic. I really don't want to use up another pan. I don't think I have a little teeny tiny pathetic little saute pan, tragically, which is totally okay, I guess. Okay, everybody, here's what we're going to do. How long would the stock need to boil for if I didn't have a pressure cooker? 2 hours for on a gentle simmer. XRI, 2 hours on a gentle simmer is the answer that I am going to go ahead and give you. Okay, everybody, here is what I've devised as my method for today. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to first boil the bok choy directly inside of this, and it's also going to add a little bit of flavor into the broth itself. I find that that little bit of vegetal note, honestly, will go quite a long way. So we're going to salt this. We're going to salt it, and we're going to salt it nice and heavily. We're going to salt it heavily so that it's able to go ahead and penetrate some of the bok choy as we go. Okay, all that we're really going to do is we're going to take this liquid, bring it to a boil the bok choy for about a minute or two, and then afterwards, we'll strain it out, we'll finish it with some more hot broth, and then finish it with some of the fried garlic and the cilantro. So, bok choy goes in, all of my lovely little leaves, Everybody take it, crank up that heat, and the only thing is we just have to boil it until it's nice and soft. We want to undershoot it. We're not going to do anything crazy like shocking it in ice cool water or anything. Okay? So I'm just going to grab my spider. We're going to add probably even more salt on top of the amount that we just added, because I don't think that was going to be nearly enough salt today for the bok choy at all. I'm just going to mix it around. I'm not scraping the bottom. This is a metal spider after all. So definitely not scraping the bottom, not scraping the bottom. Okay? Everybody, only goal, bring it up to a boil. Bring it up to a boil, drop it to a simmer, and let it do its thing until it's almost done, and then it's going to finish its cooking in the final vessel. Okay, so let it happen. In fact, I'm even gonna just go ahead and slap a lid on it just to help expedite the cooking process. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of my tongs. I have no more use for them. Out of sight and out of mind they go. And so everybody, the order of operations for the noodles is as follows. We're going to take the noodles. We're going to first start off by frying some of the bacon. The bacon is going to fry. It's going to basically melt out all of its lovely fat. We add the red onions and we add the ginger. We let that cook. Then we add in some tobanjan. Tobanjan, the spicy chili bean paste, is going to fry up. We add soy sauce. We add broth. We add a little bit of sugar. We add the glass noodles and we let it cook in that lovely broth. Do I have a favorite sport chef here on Queen? I don't like any sports at all, I'm afraid. So that's not a question for me. Okay, my glass noodles, they've successfully soaked. I don't want them to soak any longer. The reason I don't want them to soak any longer is because I want them to absorb the stock and not always just plain, bland water, my friends. So, draining them out, draining them out, draining them off. Beautiful. All of my glass noodles, nice and soaked and mostly saturated. Not totally saturated, but mostly saturated at this stage. Okay. Straining it out. Just the majority of the liquid you want gone. You don't really want them to dry off or anything, so we're not going to do in the strainer. That blue Le Creuset is pretty. Thank you, Tech Jansen. It is my roommate's. And so, my goal, I want my vegetables to be quite tender in this case. I want them to be quite tender. I want them to be quite tasty. It'll be delicious. I wish I did have a separate container in which I could fry the garlic in. I'm gonna have to use like a small little pot. I think that'll be like the best choice for today. But yeah, I do wish I had a very, very small, teeny tiny little saute pan still. I did it at my old mom's place. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a bowl. Gonna get a bowl that will be reasonably large enough to accommodate all of the bok choy that comes out, my friends. And I think this bowl is gonna do just fine. I wish I had some more serving bowls, but I don't at the moment, but that's okay. So taking it, bringing it up to a boil, hopefully boil soon so that I could show everybody what's actually going on in the pot, but it seems like it's not ready to do that quite yet. So it just has to go for now. It just has to go and let it do its own thing, everybody. My heat is too high, it's traveling up the sides. You don't know what to do when your avocados will expire in 2 days. You don't know what to make. So avocados are a little bit tricky because they don't really last very much. I would do just like a green salsa with them or like a salad. I love doing a salad with avocado, corn, black beans, red onions, scallions, that kind of thing I think is always fun and delicious to be able to do. Almost done, everybody. Again, we don't really need to cook this bok choy too much. It's going to do a lot of carryover cooking as it sits inside of the serving bowl. Evergley, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Right, just gonna move him around just to make myself feel better and feel like I'm actively doing something at the moment. Come on, buddy. Come up to a boil, please. Thank you. We could probably start on the process of the bacon and stuff for my glass noodles. But honestly, the reason why I'm abstaining from doing so is because I don't really want to juggle like 2 things that need to be babysat at the same time. So I think I would much rather just have this going and doing its thing for a little bit. Make my life a lot easier. I do want to taste the broth though. I do want to taste it one more time. I want to see how the salinity has changed since I've added, of course, some salt to it, and a good amount of salt that is. Everybody, that stock, that's quite delicious. That anchovy quality to it, phenomenal. Nothing to be feared, nothing to be afraid of. I think that's quite delicious. So, not exactly like a superior stock, definitely not porky enough. In order to do that, again, I would just double the amount of pork bones that I had. But a little bit of that smokiness comes through. I think that's a tasty stock. I'm definitely happy about how that came out. That is quite nice. Boil. What is it with washed pots and boiling and cast iron and the amount of time it takes for the cast iron to heat up? What is going on with this guy? I'm sick of him. I've had enough of this guy. Get him out of here. I'm kidding. I would never ever say that about you, cast iron. I love cast iron pans. I really do love cast iron. I would never, ever allege, I would never say such an awful, horrible thing. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and get my bacon out of the fridge while I'm at it. I'm gonna open up my tobanjan, get a little teaspoon for it. Oh, is this boiling yet? Beginning to. Cannot believe this guy. You know, maybe it's not boiling because of how often I'm lifting up my pot lid. Somebody's saying this as a possibility. Somebody's saying this, not me though. I would never say such a thing. Okay, I'm gonna take all of my ground bacon out of the fridge. Just get that ready for us. Perfect, excellent. Everybody, I'm very excited for everything to come together. Okay, you, I hear you doing something in there. Yes, it is finally hitting a very light simmer. That's how long it took for me to go from boiling pressure cooker pot to light simmer. The answer is a while. A little longer than I would have liked to. Okay. So again, bok choy does not need to be fully cooked through. It's still gonna have some hot broth. It's still gonna do a little bit of carryover cooking. I just want my greens to be mostly tender. So all I'm going to go ahead and do in the meantime, I'm going to single out a guy who's really, really tiny. Chef, what's your opinion on pickles? I love pickles. I love pickles to death. You know, quite tender at this stage. Quite tender. I think it's gonna do exactly what I need it to do. Okay, I'm gonna try one more little tiny piece of bok choy. Again, these are super tiny guys, so they will be the softest. You know what, guys? I think for my purposes today, I think that's gonna be just fine. Perfect, ready to go. Let's go ahead and take all of this baby bok choy. Oh my God, there is a delivery right now of all times. I'm not even gonna be able to get it because I am too busy with this. Get some of that, get that out, get it all out, my friends, and then we'll just put the cilantro on top. And that's it for the bok choy. We'll spoon in some of that hot broth, we'll top it off with everything else, and it'll be delicious. So, that's that. That's done with. My stock is going. I'm gonna put all of my cilantro right on top of my bok choy. And now everybody, we can begin the actual part of cooking. We can actually begin doing the Sichuan glass noodles. Now is the moment that we've all been waiting for. It is time. So, let's move this to the side. Are the handles hot? The answer is a little bit. Let's move this to the side. And everybody, we're going to begin by frying up some of our bacon. We're gonna fry up our bacon. Medium low heat or so. We started out in a little bit of oil, not too much. The goal at this stage, everybody, and we're gonna use a nice neutral oil. Traditionally, something like peanut oil would be perfect. This is just going to help the bacon out in the beginning. Low, medium heat, my friends. Low, medium heat. I want to sear this bacon. I want to get a little bit of its fat melted out. A little bit of oil goes in. We're not using like a tablespoon of oil or anything because the bacon has all of the fat that we are going to need for this kind of a dish, everybody. And it's gonna be great, and it's gonna be beautiful, and it's gonna be delicious, and you're all just going to have to wait and see. Heat it up, low, medium heat. I'm going to begin preparing my station. We're going to grab a wooden spoon. This is where the glass noodles begin to take shape, everybody. This is where they begin to take form. Why am I using a saucepan for this? Why am I not using a wok? Well, I don't have a wok at home. But the magic of using a saucepan, my friends, is it lets all of the fat bubble up around the sides. By letting all of the fat properly and beautifully bubble up around the sides, it's going to be able to cover all of the vegetables. I'm going to let you in on a secret. I need everybody to listen. I need to hear your chef from everybody watching, please and thank you. Here's the biggest secret. Ready? Stir fries are not as much about stirring as they are frying. It's not a saute. You can't do it in a non-stick pan. The key to a stir fry is fat. The reason a stir fry works is you have a conical or spherical vessel where the fat is able to pool up higher. The same amount of fat pools up higher in something conical or spherical as opposed to something flat and wide. Meaning with less oil, more food is covered inside of that oil. I don't have a wok. I instead will be using something like this with nice high walls. This will allow us to get the fat to really properly and truly build up. That's what we're looking for. That's what we want out of this, okay? So, we really need to properly fry it, my friends. That is where the magic of something like this is. My glass noodles, they are begging to be added in, but it's still gonna be a good amount of time. We're gonna heat this up, low, medium heat, everybody. Okay? We don't need this to be super, super hot for the bacon. The goal is just to melt out some of the fat from the bacon, okay? I don't want a wok because I don't have the heat for it. And I also don't have the stove shape for it. Okay? The issue with a wok at home is you're just not really able to keep up with how much the ingredients cool down this thin carbon steel. You know, that's the real problem with it in my mind, in my eyes. I'm gonna just stick a ladle in to my lovely homemade superior stock. Just like so. My bok choy is with my scallion, with my cilantro rather. They're becoming one and the same. Okay, oil. Again, just slowly but surely, evenly heating up this pan. A little bit of oil. And so, I think now is going to be the stage where we add in the bacon, my friends. So, I have a lot of bacon here. I don't think I want to add all of the bacon. I think it'll be a little too schmeedy. So, a little bit goes in. And some of it will stick in the beginning, and that's okay. Just move it around, break it down a little bit. We're going to do a little bit more of bacon. We're going to do about that much bacon in food today. Maybe 4 strips, if I had to exactly and perfectly count. It's sticking somewhat to the bottom, mostly because I think I did grind it a little bit too finely. I think I ground it a little too finely, and as a result, what we've ended up with is a little bit more of like a meat paste. So it ended up being too sticky. Okay, add it inside, lower the heat, everybody scraping up the bottom, and break up that lovely bacon. Break it up, break it up, break it up, break it up, break it up all the way around, unstick it from the bottom, using its own liquids that come out of it. This bacon cooking process needs to be a little bit slow. And no, we want like a bacon mince. That's what we're looking for, poppers. We don't want it to be at all like a burger patty. We want this to be all minced up and broken up. And the nice thing about having fat, right, specifically the pork fat, specifically the bacon fat, is it doesn't stick together nearly as much as just a pure hunk of meat does. So as you guys can see, it's got a nice and broken up. Okay, so look at the water. Look at the water that's come out of it, everybody. The bottom of the pan got a little bit cloudy, because that is all of the water that has begun to release from the bacon. So, stirring it up, breaking up these little clumps, we are now turning up the heat. I don't need to do a full render of this bacon. I just want to be able to evaporate as much water here as possible. I don't want to cook the bacon too long, because then it can dry out and get a little too pebbly, and it can get a little bit too crumbly. So the only goal right now, my friends, is to enter the frying stage once again. Scrape up and deglaze any and all fond. Right? Because we're using the natural water that came out of the bacon, and we will soon enter a proper fry once more. We will soon enter that stage. We have all of that delicious smoky bacon fat inside, my friends, instead of using ground pork, which I think is a very smart decision on my end in retrospect. Look at all of that bacon, everybody. Frying up, getting nice and crispy, and moving it around to stop especially any bits from sticking and burning on the sides of the pan. We're beginning to hit a sizzle. The bacon is beginning to get a little bit brown. That is what we're looking for. This is one of the few times that we do a medium-high heat. I'm doing a medium-high heat so I don't dry out the bacon. Okay? Too low of a heat, the bacon would take too long to brown, and we would end up drying it out, my friends. And that is not what we are looking for. So, all of this lovely fat, all of this lovely bacon, keep it cooking. And you can see how much that fat pools up in there. That's exactly what we're looking for. We want that amount of fat. That is how you know it's going to be able to coat up all of my vegetables properly. Okay? My basmati rice is finished. I'm just giving it a quick little fluff. Gonna quickly head back to my pan. Make sure I'm not leaving this unattended for too long. Oh, everybody, it's coming together. The pan is flooding with all of that bacon fat now, right? That is exactly what we're looking for. That's exactly what we wanted to use instead of using any additional oil. Perfect. That is perfect, my friends. I'm quite happy about how this is beginning to turn out. Okay, now, before your fond burns, before this bacon gets too brown, now goes in the red onions. We want to fry up these red onions. We want to fry them up, and we want to get them nice and coated in all of that beautiful bacon fat. In it goes, my friends. In it goes. Get it frying, medium, medium, high. We don't need to collapse it too much. We're looking for something a little more superficial. We're looking for the fat to coat all the way up and around the red onions. So stir it up, break it up a little bit. That is perfect. And now, my friends, fry those onions. Again, one of the few times you will ever see me advocate for a medium-high or even a high heat. I almost never tell you to do so in a kitchen. This is one of the few times we do so because we're just looking for superficial browning without drying out or without compromising the texture of any of our other ingredients. So fry it, everybody. Fry it properly. Scrape down those sides. Fry it up beautifully and get it going. Just like so. Okay, is everybody following? I want to hear one more yes, chef, please, and thank you. I'm going to have a little sip of water in the meantime. And fry it, my friends. And it's getting golden, and I can smell the bacon now. And I can really, really see the color on the onions just slightly beginning to develop. Scraping off the bottom, scraping off the sides. Okay, not too much longer. Okay, not too much longer, but it's all going to be perfect, and it's all going to come together. Okay. Next. I want to say that with this stage of fond development, now would be the time for us to add the ginger. And the ginger we add last so that it doesn't burn, because the onions take a little bit longer, the bacon takes the longest of all. And then the ginger, we add it in and we mix it up, my friends, and we really truly make sure that it is properly frying and infusing into the oil, into all of this delicious bacon fat. This is my modified Sichuan glass noodles, and I'm very excited about it. And I think it'll be delicious. I'm quite confident in it. Fry it up. Fry it up. You don't want to burn your ginger. You don't want to squelch your fond. Everybody, if you fond on the bottom, all the dissolved proteins, if it starts to look a little too brown, feel free to proceed on to the next step. In my case, I'm still quite confident that I can push it just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, really truly infusing my ginger, really truly frying my ginger into all of this oil. You see why we use a saucepan? So that the fat is able to cover everything. Using a big, wide stainless steel pan, everybody, I'm telling you right now, it's a meme. You want your foods to pseudo-fry in everything. So, ginger, garlic, or no garlic, excuse me, this doesn't have any garlic. Now goes in 2 heaping spoons of tobanjan, my fermented chili bean paste. In it goes. Maybe one more for good measure. This is the base of a lot of the flavor inside of these glass noodles. You want to fry that off. You don't want to just boil it in the sauce. You want to actually, truly, properly, and beautifully fry that off, my friends. So add it inside. It's going to stain everything red. It's going to make it all smell quite excellent. Maybe, you know what, we're not going to add more. If we want more later, it'll boil in, it won't fry in, and so we'll live with those consequences. Fry that tobanjan. Fry that chili bean paste. Fry it off and fry it good. Again, we're just infusing the oil at this stage is all that we're doing. We're building a little bit of browning. We're developing some flavor. Smells excellent at the moment. Smells like mapo tofu. It smells lovely. Now, well, after a little bit more frying, actually, a little bit longer, get all those solids in there. Now begins the process of the actual seasoning. We don't do any salt rather, because we're going to be going in with some soy sauce and some broth. So, I've realized I've neglected to open this. Light soy goes in. Next, dark soy sauce goes in. Come on, buddy. I know I neglected to open you before. I'm sorry. Dark soy sauce goes in. And we can always add more to adjust. Next, my lovely, delicious, superior stock goes in. We're gonna do 1, 2, and 3 ladles to start. We can always add more if the noodles accidentally absorb too much. Now, my friends, deglaze everything stuck to the sides of the pan before we add the noodles. Deglaze it all. Scrape down those sides. Scrape it down. Dissolve it all back into this lovely broth, this lovely, delicious, seasoned broth that we have here, that we have beginning to develop, that we have beginning to take shape, beginning to take characteristics. Okay? Scrape it all down. Scrape it all down. Scrape it all down, my friends. Scrape it all the way down. And now goes in all of my lovely glass noodles. And this might seem like a lot because, well, it is going to be a lot. It's going to soak it up. That is a little closer to its final volume. I can tell you right now, at least 1 more ladle of that lovely stock goes in. And let's not forget my scallions. Scallions go in. The only goal now, my friends, I want my noodles to soak up all of that incredible broth. Medium high or so. Mix it in. Mix it in. Mix in all of those lovely fillings. And mix it all in together. Okay? We want it to absorb. We want it to get saucy. And we want it above all else to get really nice and delicious. And this is exactly how we're going to achieve that, my friends. The magic with these glass noodles is they kind of become their own sauce. They soak up everything else that is sticking in that pan. They soak it all up. Smells excellent, looks excellent. Quite happy about how this is going so far. Okay, and now we're gonna do a little tiny bit of sugar, little spoon of sugar, just to help balance it out. We have fishiness, we have meatiness, we have saltiness, we have a lot going on. What we don't have is a touch of sweetness. So just that much, 1 little tiny spoon. I don't think we're gonna need more than that. And I'll just go ahead and mix it in quickly before it only absorbs into that little selection of the noodles. Mix it in, everybody. Mix it in. Properly process all of your ingredients back into these gorgeous Sichuan noodles, these Sichuan glass noodles. And you're gonna see all of that liquid, all of that broth gets absorbed. It soaks up its own sauce, and that is exactly what we want to achieve, everybody. So just mixing it around to ensure that it is all evenly cooking and evenly coming together. Oh. And the glass noodles, they take no time at all. When they feel done, as in you were to take a bite out of them, that's how you know they'll be done. Scallions are in, pork is in, it's all in there, baby. Let's taste it. Grab some chopsticks. Where's my chopsticks? Hello? Chopsticks? 1 and 2. Everybody, let's taste it. Gonna grab a little bowl. Was the bacon you minced earlier smoked? I do believe that it was. If I recall correctly, I think it was. Okay, I can probably lower the heat. It does not need to be up so high anymore. Let's taste that. How did I do, my friends? What do you think? Ooh, okay. Glass noodles, you must remember, can get very finicky because they are so long. Some people, they use scissors to cut them. That would not be sacrilegious. That would be totally fine. Taste them. Very tasty, very delicious. I'm missing a few things. I tasted it. It tastes like tobanjan significantly, which is lovely, and that is what I was going for. But you know what I'm missing? I'm missing some soy flavor. I want to do some more dark soy sauce and mix it in. 1 and 2, and we might even do a little bit more sugar in a second. The bottom of the pan is getting a little too sticky. It's getting a little too starchy, but quite tasty. Okay, everybody, I want to make sure that these noodles are properly seasoned. Break up that cluster. Fold in all of those ingredients. Glass noodles can be trickier than you'd think. Taste it one more time. Ooh, everybody, these are delicious. They're gonna need a little bit more sugar to finish. And I think then it'll be perfect. They're fatty, they're nice and bouncy, they're very delicious. A little bit more sugar though, as just my final seasoning on them. Is all that they're going to need. Normally, I don't really love adding sugar to food, but I think in this case, it was pretty important for a sense of balance. So take it, break it up, 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 mix it in, fold it in. Let's taste that again. Ooh, it is hot in my kitchen, everybody. It is hot in here. Delicious, tasty. Does exactly what I needed to do. Quite yummy. Quite good. These glass noodles, I think they're just about ready to go. Last but not least, my friends, let's go ahead and fry that garlic. Ooh, it's hot in here. Let's go ahead and fry that garlic for the bok choy. So, little tiny saucepan, heat it up with a little bit of oil inside of it. And we're gonna start the garlic off in cold oil, everybody. It's gonna help it to cook a lot nicer inside. Cold oil goes in. And doing it slowly this way from cold oil helps it to get evenly crispy. In it goes, my lovely garlic that is. I can put that aside. Okay. Lot going on. A lot just happened. A lot has transpired in a very short amount of time. I've realized that cooking these glass noodles still somehow a little bit stressful for me. But I am quite pleased with the end result. I've never made this before, but hopefully it'll be tasty. Taste that one more time. Oh, glass noodles are so yummy. I love glass noodles. Right, almost done. Final stages, everybody. Garlic. We gotta cook it through. We gotta get it nice and crispy. We gotta get it nice and soft. Get it cooked up in that oil. I definitely want to season my glass noodles a little more with some more like soy sauce. Now that I've like tasted them again, I'm going like, yeah, this is gonna need it. Just quickly frying it up, and we'll be done with it. Got a little chaotic, got a little hectic for a second. Oh. Excellent. Frying it up, my friends. Getting it nice and golden, nice low, medium low heat or so. Do I have any air ventilation in my system? Oh yeah, we have a ceiling ventilator, and then our stovetop also has a vent on it. That's my answer for you. Okay, Gently frying up, everybody. We don't want to burn the garlic. We just want to get it nice and consistently golden and a little bit crispy too. And it's going to make for a lovely garnish on the bok choy itself. You know, the more I taste these glass noodles, the more I'm like, yeah, I think I could have gone a lot heavier on the seasoning for them. More tobanjang, more soy sauce, but now it's a little too late for the tobanjang. I just don't know why they're taking in so much soy sauce at the moment. Keep frying it, flip them over occasionally, just to make sure they're all evenly frying. Oh, we're almost done, everybody. We're approaching the final stages. It is so hot in here. It does not feel like 64 at all. And I have no idea why. Wouldn't be able to tell you that much. Okay, frying the garlic. We're gonna go ahead and top off these greens, of course, with some of that lovely broth that we have made together. Gonna give that bad boy a little taste. Tasty, but it's gonna need a lot more salt than that. So I'll season up my broth. That's a lot better. How's my garlic going? Almost there, everybody. Almost golden, almost perfect. Used up, truthfully, a lot more dishes than I intended to with this. I thought this was gonna be a little simpler. Oh, it's hot. It got a little warm, it got a little sweaty. Come on, garlic. I would like this garlic to finish frying, please. And thank you. So I could finally top off my bok choy. I think that would be nice for us to do. Ah, that's a tasty stock. Top off those greens with some of the broth. And everybody, I think I can definitively say, I do wish I had a slightly smaller vessel. Would it have been better to salt the broth before adding the noodles? Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think my broth should have absolutely been more seasoned before I added noodles. I think that's a very good point. I thought that my soy sauce would carry me through it a little bit more, but I think I have underestimated the blandness of a glass noodle, which often happens to me, actually. So, with a glass noodle, keep in mind, my friends, you want to use a little bit more seasoning than you think. I'm going to go ahead and add all of my fried garlic to the top of my greens. Get it on there. And then, my friends, we can go ahead and plate once and for all. Okay, so let's plate. Let's get it all done. Let's get it all put together. Oh. So, what have I learned? I think I just needed some more aggressive seasoning on the glass noodles part. If that's okay. Whew, it is hot in my kitchen. I am agitated by how warm it is. Not happy about that. Not happy about that at all, quite frankly. Get all of my beautiful glass noodles. Come on, buddy. Thank you. Fine. Over the side of the bowl it is sometimes. That's just the way it goes. And another little bit right up top, just to top it off. Wow. Excellent. You know what? In retrospect, a garnish would have been nice. Chef, your kitchen is cooking you? I know. It shouldn't be doing this either. I have multiple ACs running right now. I'm getting a little agitated about it. But that's fine, and it'll be ultimately totally okay. And not an issue or anything. Okay? And I'll go ahead and plate up some rice. Everybody, we're almost done for today. So, my lovely glass noodles, my lovely greens. And then we're going to go ahead and do a small little tiny bowl of rice. Ugh. And that's it. And we're all done for today. Everybody, we have done all of the components. We finished it all. We did the glass noodles. We did the broth with the greens. And we got some rice done. So, let's go ahead and do one last recap session. And then we'll finish off and close off for today. Where's my lovely chopsticks? Thank you. That's right, it does. Also Vexel. Welcome on in. Everybody, lovely glass noodles. We made a superior stock out of some pork bones, out of some chicken bones, some ginger, some scallions, some anchovies. Okay, we sauteed some bacon that we ground ourselves, some ground up ginger, also Vexel, thank you so much for the prime sub, some ground up ginger as well. Okay, we added in some dark soy, some light soy, a little bit of sugar, right, really nice and flavorful, really nice and delicious. We added in a broth, we added in some scallions, and we added glass noodles. Bok choy quickly braised inside of the broth itself, topped off with some cilantro and fried garlic, and all of it intended to be eaten over some rice. So I'm gonna begin. I'm gonna have a little bok choy, have that as a little treat, have that as a little taste. Cheers. Just really simple, really, really clean, a little bit too fishy still, in retrospect. I do wish that it wasn't as fishy from the anchovies. So, going forward, I should keep in mind how many anchovies I'm using and double up on my pork bones, I think. So definitely more anchovy than I was going for, but still very tasty. And then look at these lovely noodles. Have some of that. Oh, that's quite good. That is sticky. Got a little bit of bacon in there. That is tasty. Although, very notoriously difficult to scoop out of a vessel as well. I'm quite happy with these glass noodles. The greens, I could have done a much better job on, I think. It mostly has to do with the flavor of my stock, or the lack thereof, I think. I might turn it into a soup. I don't know yet. I'm gonna have another bite of that though before I sign off. Ooh. But yeah, definitely a couple of little flavor adjustments. I think I could have used some more tobanjan. In retrospect for these noodles. Oh, that's good. That's delicious. Wow. Everybody, I have a whole kitchen to clean. That's gonna do it for today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being a part of the show. 5 p.m. EDT. Some days are gonna be different time. Join my Discord if you'd like to keep up with that. Everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for stopping by. I'm gonna see you all this Sunday potentially if it doesn't get canceled. Because just Brawlhalla stuff I have to keep in mind. Yeah. Follow me on Twitch if you haven't already done so. Support me on Patreon. And I am now going to go regrettably clean this entire kitchen. I am a little bit annoyed with the mess that I've made, but I think there's a couple of things I can improve on for the future. Goodbye, and have a good night, everybody. Be well.